Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Chicago Board of Education meeting. Today is December 11th, 2019. We are holding today's meeting in the auditorium of Curie High School, 4959 South Archer Avenue. I am Miguel del Valle on behalf of my fellow board members. Thank you for coming this evening. This evening, we have the privilege of having the Curie Metropolitan High School Marine Corps, JROTC, lead us in the posting of colors and Pledge of Allegiance.
Please rise.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Thank you. And thank you to the members of the JROTC for spending some time with us here this evening for the posting of the colors and for the chorus, right?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. President.
A very nice rendition of the Star Spangled Banner. The rescheduled meeting on Wednesday, December 11th, 2019 is hereby called to order. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Mr. President, may you strike the gavel for me, please? Your gavel. Thank you. I'll proceed with the roll call. Member Rome.
Here.
Member Melendez,
Here.
Vice President Reveluri,
Here.
Member Ted Breland,
Here.
Member Truss,
Here.
Member Sotelo,
Here.
President Del Valle.
Here.
We have 7 members present. There is a quorum. I would also like to recognize Dr. Janice Jackson, our CEO, Joseph Moriarty, our General Counsel, Latanya McDade, our Chief Education Officer, Arnie Rivera, our Chief Operating Officer, and Joshua Torres, our Honorary Student Board Member. Thank you, Mr. President.
In June, this board made a commitment to hold some of our board meetings in the community in the evening to make it easier for people to attend. This is our first meeting in the community with many more to come. I'm so pleased to be at this impressive school, and at this time, I'd like to thank the acting principal to come forward and say a few words.
Principal Tingwell?
I think the actual principal
Yeah,
is here
Principal
today.
Tingwell is
so-
here.
Oh, thank you, I'm sorry.
No, I took a
Principal
break from my
Tingwell.
6-week-old
Principal
to join you
Tingwell.
all tonight.
Yes,
Thank you, President Del Valle. Good evening, everyone. I'm Allison Tingwall, and I'm the proud principal of Curie High School. To President Del Valle, our esteemed board members, CEO Jackson, CEO McDade, COO Rivera, to our CPS leadership, Chief Boraz, our network support staff. I have to give a shout out to my senior leadership team and my awesome hardworking assistant principals who've held it down for the last 6 weeks. And most importantly, to you all, our Chicago Public Schools community members, including my local school council chair Muniz and our other council members. Welcome to Curie High School. It's my pleasure to welcome you to tonight's board meeting. We're honored to be hosting the first community-based meeting for this Board of Education. Curie feels like a very appropriate choice for this first meeting. We often describe our school as a citywide magnet with neighborhood roots. As the 3rd largest school in Chicago, we have 2,900 students from 33 different zip codes, although half come from our immediate neighborhood. Our students represent the diverse interests and potential of our city's youth, and they choose to come to Curie because of our robust opportunities such as IB, AVID, JROTC, CTE, and fine arts. Our schools evidence that our youth thrive when their interests, their academic pathway, and their extracurricular opportunities are aligned. Notably, our IB program has bested the world diploma pass rate for the past 6 years. We're home to the 2017 National Dance Teacher of the Year. We have the 2016 Boys Basketball State Champs, last year's 3rd place team. Our water polo team has been city champions for the past 12 years, and we were 2019 Obama Civics, Culture, and Commitment Award finalist. I'll wrap up simply by noting Curie students are achieving post-secondary outcomes that align with the district's vision for post-secondary success. Over half of our students attain early college and career credentials every year, and over 70% of our students are enrolling in college and persisting every year. And we are excited that our class of 2022, last year's freshmen, was the first group of Curie students ever in the history of the school to have above average growth on the SAT. Without further ado, I just want to thank you all again for being here and note that we're energized by the 5-year vision and goals that CPS has set for us, and we're excited to continue to work with this board and this leadership in pursuit of them. Thank you.
thank you. And Principal Tingwall, we appreciate your hospitality and all the cooperation that the board office has gotten from your staff to make this evening possible. Thank you very much. The order of the meeting will be as follows. Honoring excellence, followed by CEO remarks, committee updates and announcements, public participation, followed by the CEO report presentation, discussion of public agenda items, then vote on public agenda items, followed by closed session. We will then reconvene after closed session and vote on closed session items. And after that, we will be adjourning. Chief McDade, please proceed with honoring excellence.
Thank you, President Del Valle. Good evening, and thank you to Principal Tingwall for the warm welcome and to your entire team for welcoming us this evening. We will begin tonight's Board of Education meeting by honoring some of the exemplary students here at Curie High School. I want to thank the cadets of the Curie JROTC for their presentation honoring our country, and I am now pleased to welcome Curie's Advanced Women's Ensemble under the direction of Miss Nancy Bieshke. These talented singers perform a combination of traditional and modern music. They are currently preparing for several competitions and festivals in the spring of 2020. And today, they will be performing the holiday classic, Let It Snow. Please join me in welcoming the Curie's Advanced Women's Ensemble. Thank you. Thank you all for that festive song and for sharing your incredible talent with us this evening. Seeing the talent and maturity of Curie's JROTC and choir students makes me realize just how valuable it is for us to come together into the community for Board of Education meetings whenever we can. As district leaders, it is important for us to see the pride our students take in their schools and to experience learning environments as they do. It is also important to give our families and community partners the opportunity to express their ideas and concerns in our neighborhoods. I want to thank the staff and students here at Curie for making us feel so welcome and look forward to more opportunities to conduct CPS business in our schools. We kicked off the month of December with some exciting news regarding our district's English learners. A recent study from the University of Chicago Consortium on School Research shows that our bilingual and multilingual scholars are thriving. Nearly 80% of CPS students who enter kindergarten as English learners are achieving English proficiency by the time they reach 8th grade. Even better, the vast majority of these students are reaching this milestone by 5th grade, and have better attendance, higher math scores, and better overall grades in their core courses than their peers. We could not be more proud of our English learners and are grateful to the families and school communities who have come together to provide them with a quality education. We will build on this progress by investing even more in bilingual education and by continuing to celebrate the rich cultural diversity that is one of our district's greatest strengths. I would like to next share an encouraging update on our public comment process for the Board of Education policies. Today's meeting agenda includes 6 board policies that have received public comment on our policy feedback webpage. As a result of feedback from the public, we have added clarifying language and additional references to the policies impacting students and adults with disabilities. I am encouraged by how well this process is working and urge all CPS stakeholders to continue lending their voice as we review and update more Board of Education policies throughout the year. The policy currently open for public comment is the district's compensation and pay plan, which will be voted on by the board in January. Public comments will be accepted on this policy through December 19th. So please visit cps.edu/policy feedback to share your thoughts. Several policies that will be voted on in February will also be posted next week. Mr. President, this concludes the Chief Education Office report.
Thank you. Dr. Jackson, we're ready for your report. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm not sure if this is on. Thank you, Mr. President. First, I want to apologize for my tardiness to the board and also members in the audience. I was still at 42 West Madison waiting for the meeting to start. That's a joke. I knew that the meeting was somewhere else. But seriously, it's a pleasure to be here today. I want to extend some of the comments that have already been made about the importance of having these meetings out in the community. I know senior management shares the board's excitement about restarting this tradition. It's also equally important that we are at a school like Curie, as Dr. Tingwall pointed out in her comments. It's a neighborhood school that is obviously thriving and really represents our model for strong high schools in Chicago, with strong leadership, as we have in Dr. Tingwall, amazing educators, strong academic programs, and facilities to suit. So I want to thank you and your staff for hosting us and apologize for whatever it took in order to be here tonight. I remember doing this myself. I want everyone in the audience to know that we see you as crucial partners in this work. And in order to meet the goals outlined in the 5-year vision for Chicago Public Schools, it's really important that we strengthen our bond between the school, community, home, and the district. We need your passion and your feedback, as well as your support, in order to solidify Chicago Public Schools as one of the best school districts in the country. There's no better way to do that, we think, than by joining the local school council at your respective schools. Elections are coming up in the spring of 2020, and we need passionate parents and community members to help us build on our historic progress. Last week, I had the privilege to participate at a kickoff event at Phoenix Military Academy, along with President Del Valle, to commemorate the 30th anniversary of local school councils here in Chicago. It was so gratifying to see members of the community and parents there enthusiastic about supporting their schools. It was also equally fun to see some members that have been on the LSC since its inception. So it was a little bit of a reunion for President Del Valle and some of the folks in the room. Historically, we know that certain communities in our city have struggled to find enough candidates to fill the roles in all of our local school councils. That's why CPS will provide additional support for recruitment this season in these communities for 2020. We want to work hard to ensure that there are resources and support so that every parent and every community knows that they have a right and an obligation, if they so choose, to serve on the LSC. Here to talk more about the impact of local school councils in the upcoming election season is our Chief of Family and Community Engagement, Mr. Chip Johnson.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening, everybody. Just waiting on the sound.
Use your choir voice.
No mic. Use my teacher voice. Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Dr. Jackson. It is my pleasure to Testing, okay.
There you go.
It is my pleasure to serve as the Chief Officer for Family and Community Engagement and Education as we especially prepare for another LSC election season, our 30th year. We are well on our way to making sure our schools have everything they need to make these elections a success. So to start, all schools have now received election materials, and I'm happy to report that every school has identified an election coordinator. But our strategy for 2020 will go well beyond these basic supports. In the coming weeks, CPS will focus on recruiting LSC candidates in schools that often have trouble filling those seats. Our LSC facilitators will be talking directly with parents and community members and will be updating CPS administrators on our progress at their monthly network meetings. We will also engage directly with many stakeholder groups, including our community action councils, who will be hugely helpful in getting the word out about the importance of LSCs. Presentations have already been given to the bilingual advisory councils, the Chicago Multilingual Parent Council, and other parent leadership organizations to encourage stakeholders to consider running for the LSC. Our hope is that this increased engagement with our communities will lead to better participation across the board, and that we can help more of our schools reach quorum, which is the number needed to conduct an LSC meeting in our schools. So in the months ahead, our goal will be to recruit 8,000 LSC candidates and to secure and train 1,600 judges to oversee the elections that will take place on April 22nd and April 23rd. Our laser focus will be on underscoring the importance of LSCs and on making sure interested candidates have everything they need to successfully navigate the election process. For any of those candidates who may be here tonight in our audience, I want you to know that you can pick up your election materials right here at Curie or at any other CPS school. You can also access these materials by visiting our website at cps.edu/LSC or by visiting the CPS Office of Local School Council Relations at 2651 West Washington Boulevard on the 3rd floor. All candidate materials must be submitted by March 5th, 2020 at the school where you intend to run. Let me say that again. They must be submitted by March 20th, 2020, March 5th, 2020 at the school where you intend to run. I want to thank Dr. Jackson and the Board of Education for allowing me to discuss our strategy for the 2020 LSC elections, and we look forward to an exciting next few months. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Chip, for that overview. Again, I can't stress enough how important it is to make sure that we have a fully staffed LSC in every single school. So you will be hearing a lot more in the coming months as we try to encourage folks to sign up. If you are already members of the local school council, we encourage you to sign up again. And we also ask for your help and support in encouraging other parents and community members to consider taking on this obligation. It also is my pleasure today to provide an update on the second annual academic program RFP process. This process puts the voice of our school communities front and center by giving them a chance to apply for academic programs that they believe will benefit their schools. The deadline to submit letters of interest was on December 3rd, and CPS was thrilled to receive applications from schools in every region in the city. 64 schools apply for programs such as STEAM, World Language, International Baccalaureate, Personalized Learning, and Fine Arts. In the coming weeks, we will carefully review each letter of intent and invite schools that have clear support from their community and have a demonstrated programmatic or academic need to submit a full application. We would like to thank everyone who submitted a letter of intent during this process, and we look forward to announcing these new investments this spring. We're happy to build on last year's success, but we learned a lot from that process, and we've made significant changes as a result of your feedback. For example, we're providing greater support to our local school communities throughout the application process, and we have committed to providing even greater transparency and clarity into how those selections are made. Even as the application process continues to evolve, the overarching goal remains the same, and that is to strengthen neighborhood schools across the district and ensure that they have high-quality academic programs. Finally, tonight, I would like to take a moment to wish all of our students, families, and community partners a joyful holiday. I hope that everyone has a safe and relaxing holiday break, and we look forward to continuing to build on the great progress that Chicago Public Schools has been experiencing. I would also like to remind people that classes will resume on January 2nd, 2020. Mr. President, this concludes my prepared remarks.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson. I'd like to also say that the board is going to work very hard along with management to promote the local school council elections. We want to increase the level of participation in the elections, both in terms of parents and community residents voting, as well as the number of candidates running for local school council seats, teachers, parents, community representatives. The numbers have declined over the years. And as someone who participated directly in the drafting of the bill that created local school councils 30 years ago in Springfield, I can tell you that when we had the very first elections for local school councils in 1989, the turnout was incredible. Today, last time around, the turnout was about 25% or less of what it was back in 1989. We want to change that. We want to make sure that every seat is full. We want to make sure that voters have choices when they get that ballot. And so we're urging the public to get directly involved, to encourage folks to run for local school council seats, and to be a part of this reform effort, this current reform effort that's taking place in the Chicago Public Schools. And we're going in the right direction, but we can do even better if we have strong parent and community participation at every single one of our schools. We don't want any school to be left out. And so having said that, I also want to say that we're going to aggressively be promoting participation in the census. We want to make sure that all our families and our community residents in the neighborhoods of every school are counted in the census. Census Day is April 1st. The local school council elections are a couple of weeks after that. And so we're connecting those things. And we encourage all local school council candidates to also promote, as they're campaigning, participation in the census and to look for ways at their schools to help parents fill out those census forms. It's only 9 questions, and it's going to be online for the first time. And as we know, the anti-immigrant climate that has developed over the last several years has scared people. And we want to make sure that we convey a clear message along with the mayor and the governor and the county board president and all the governmental bodies that are participating aggressively in promoting the census. We want to make sure that we convey a clear message that everyone needs to be counted regardless of their status. And it is confidential. They have no reason to fear participating in the census. If we don't participate in the census and there's an undercount, we will lose federal funds. We lose Medicaid funds. We lose money for transportation. We lose resources for our schools. It affects school funding. And so that message has to be driven. And it's something that occurs once every 10 years. And so we have to get it right. There was a big undercount in the state of Illinois last time around. We want to cut into that and make sure that we have access to all the resources that our population in the state of Illinois is entitled to. So thank you, CEO Jackson, for your support and the commitment that has been made by FACE and all the other units of CPS to make sure that these next local school council elections are the most successful we've had in decades, right? Thank you. All right. We're going to move on to committee updates. Member Todd Breland, would you please update us on the exciting work that the Workforce Development and Diversity Committee will be
Yes,
doing.
thank you very much. So as mentioned, I'm the chair of the Board of Education's Workforce Development and Equity Committee, and we will be having our first meeting this Monday, December 16th, from 5:30 to 7:30 at Crane High School. I really encourage everyone to come out. At this first meeting, we will be tackling the issue of developing a more diverse teacher pipeline. One of the goals of the CPS 5-year vision is to increase the number of Black and Latinx teachers. And so we will both have a brief presentation by CPS about the current and existing programs around these areas and the initiatives, but we also really want to hear from you. We're going to have parents, community members, folks in academia, educators, anyone who is interested in this issue. I encourage you to come out because there will be an opportunity for you to help to contribute and shape what this work looks like going forward. So I'm very excited. I've been very energized by the enthusiastic response we've had as we put the word out about this. There is an RSVP link on the Board of Education website, but I do want to stress this is a public meeting, so you do not need to RSVP. The RSVP, though, is helpful as we plan and think about how many facilitators we need. We're not just going to be talking to you. We want to speak with you and be in conversation with you to generate the ideas that are really going to help to move our district forward and build on the progress that's already been made.
Thank you. And if you can get there, it's this coming Monday.
Monday.
So please participate. We welcome all. Member Melendez, would you please update us on the Early Childhood Ed Committee as the chair?
My pleasure. Buenas noches. I have the privilege of chairing the Early Childhood Committee of the Board of Education, and we don't have a set date or location yet, but our first meeting is being scheduled for mid-January. And as Member Todd Breland indicated, this will be an open meeting, and we want to hear everybody's voice here. The first meeting will be an informational meeting where we'll have representatives from CPS and maybe from the city and the FSS to talk about a little bit about the city's larger early childhood agenda, although the work of the committee as we envision it right now is to gather some information about what is working in terms of CPS's Universal Pre-K for 4-year-olds initiative, which was launched this fall and will go into the next phase next year. We want to hear what's working, what communities need, how can we best meet as a city, as a Chicago Public School, the needs of. So this will be also a meeting where your voices will be encouraged and absolutely essential to inform this work as we move forward in providing the best programs and services for our youngest children. So I hope to see you there, and please check the board's website probably by the end of December for specific dates and places. Muchas gracias.
Thank you. And Member Rome, would you please update us on the Whole Child Committee?
Yes, I'm excited to share that our first scheduled meeting for the Whole Child Committee will take place January 29th. From 5:30 to 7:30 in the evening. And the topic of the meeting is still being shaped by all of the feedback that we received. We issued a survey at a previous board meeting and got lots of feedback from the community. And so we're really grateful for that feedback and are using it to shape the focus of the meeting. We will put a formal announcement with the topic on the board website by around the first of the year when school resumes. And so please look to the board website for more details about the topic and also the location of the meeting, which will be held in the community. And we're looking forward to seeing all of you there. Thanks.
Thank you. Now for announcements, please use our website, cpsboe.org, if you need to seek additional assistance or want to meet with a board member during office hours. We encourage you to take advantage of the opportunity to meet with board members outside of the board meeting. Madam Secretary, please share the details of the next board meeting.
Thank you, Mr. President. The next board meeting will be held on Wednesday, January 22nd, 2020, at the CPS Loop office. Due to the Martin Luther King holiday, advanced registration will open at 10:30 a.m. on Friday, January 17th, 2020, and will close on Tuesday, January 21st, 2020 at 5 p.m. or until all slots are filled, whichever is first. If anyone has any questions about this process, please contact the board office for our assistance. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's now proceed with today's public participation session. As a reminder, union representatives will speak before public participation, and any elected official who is here this evening will also be asked to come up and participate
Upon arrival.
during
Yes, sir.
public participation upon arrival. Madam Secretary, please share the rules of public participation.
Thank you, Mr. President. Speakers, please listen while I provide directions for public participation. I will call your name and number when it is your turn to speak. When you hear your name, please immediately proceed to the staging area left of the microphone and check in with our face staff, Les. He will assist in lining you up in the right order. When it is your turn to speak, proceed to the microphone and state your name. After you state your name, I will start the 2-minute stopwatch. When there are 15 seconds remaining, I will ask you to please conclude. Once your time is up, I will call the next speaker. Please immediately take your seat to allow for the next speaker to begin. Also, for anyone who plans to stand in support of a speaker, due to the space limitation in these aisles and fire code safety restrictions, we ask that rather than coming to the microphone to stand with the speaker, please simply stand in place in the place you are sitting. This will greatly assist in keeping our aisles open and people will be able to pass through the area safely. Again, supporters, please stand at your seat instead of moving to the front of the auditorium, and we thank you for your cooperation. Mr. President, so I have in the audience Troy LaRiviere from the CPAA that wishes to address the board at this time.
Please proceed.
Before I start, I'd like to say hello to the folks here at Curie High School. It is a fortunate coincidence that my address to the board today contains some good news for you all.
Troy, could you take the microphone, please?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. But before I get to that, my address begins with my running into the principal of Noble Street Charter School about 2.5 years ago, Miss Ellen Metz. And she immediately began to berate and sort of go into neighborhood schools, attack neighborhood schools, particularly Farragut, Wells, and Clemente. And she began to claim that the college persistence rate of her school, Noble, was so much better than the college persistence rates at Wells, Clemente, and Farragut. And it immediately struck me as very unscientific, because anyone who knows social science knows you have to isolate for variables that might be impacting the outcome besides the thing you're saying impacts the outcome. She's saying her school, but immediately I thought, what's your freshman achievement? And is that the thing impacting college persistence? And sure enough, the best thing to look at when you're looking for freshman achievement at that time were Explore scores. The top students score in the high 20s and the 20s, mid-level students score in the high teens, and students who are struggling score in the low teens and single digits. And so I looked at her freshman Explore scores, and their average was 17. And then I looked at the average at Clemente, Wells, and Farragut, and it was 12, 13, and 14 respectively. So she's dealing with students who are on a college-ready track, and these other schools are dealing with students who are not even reading on grade level, and you're talking about college persistence? And so that was not an apples to apples comparison. And so at the Chicago Principals and Administrators Association, we decided to do an apples to apples comparison. And that's why I'm here today, to share those results. We took 7 Noble Street charter schools who's had an an Explore freshman range of 16 to 18, and 12 Chicago public schools, including Curie, who also had an Explore range as freshmen. Their freshmen had a range of 16 to 18. And so you're starting out with students who are on the same level. All are freshmen, all are scoring 16 to 18. What is the comparison there? And so then we looked at the college persistence rates for all 7 Noble schools and all 12 Chicago public schools. And this is what we found. Now, I know you can't read these words, but you can certainly see the shaded rows. Those shaded rows represent charter schools. This list is all of those schools, all 19 of them, the charter and the public, ranked at the top with the highest performing best college persistence rates. And at the bottom are the schools with the lowest and worst college persistence rates. And the shaded rows represent Noble Street charters. And as you can see, they represent the schools with the absolute worst college persistence rates among schools that all start with the exact same student achievement level. And for Curie, I'd just like to let you guys know you're number 3 on the list. Your college persistence rate, and college persistence is when 2 years after you've enrolled in college, you're still in college. You're persisting. Curie has a college persistence rate of 69% over a 3-year average from 2015 to 2017, the 3rd highest among schools that start with students with 16 to 18 Explore scores. And the top was Lincoln Park. In fact, the top 9 schools are all public schools, and the bottom 5 are all Noble Street charter schools. And so what this tells us is that charter schools get students as freshmen who are already on track for college success, but they fail to keep them on track. Put another way, Chicago's public high schools do a far better job of preparing students for college than charters do. And one of the questions here is why? And we have 2 things here. 1, charter schools are ran by profit-based management that is typically educationally incompetent. And because they're profit-based, you have problem number 2, which is the fact that they undercompensate their teaching force, which leads to high turnover and an inability to keep good teachers. So my question to you all is, why are we sustaining and subsidizing privately operated school management companies with hundreds of millions of dollars to send some of our brightest children to be undereducated in a privately managed charter system? It absolutely, positively must end. Now, I know you all have a charter question before you soon in terms of closing schools, but I'm here to let you know that you have a bigger charter question. That question is, how do you hold these charter chains accountable so that our student achievement does not lag behind student potential? Because that is what is happening in charters. Student achievement is not measuring up to student potential to the degree that it's happening in our public system. Now, CPA has plenty of ideas for how you can hold them accountable. If the board and the district are willing to listen, we're certainly willing to share. That's it for my comments. I'll open it up to any questions from the board. If there are none, I'll share this.
Please leave the information with us. Thank you. We'll make sure everyone gets it on the board.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much.
Mr. President, before we continue, I would just like to acknowledge we do have Representative Aaron Ortiz from the 1st District with us tonight. Thank you for joining us, Representative. We'll proceed by calling Jesse Sharkey, please, the President of the CTU, to address the board.
Good evening. Ladies and gentlemen of the board, 3 quick points tonight. The first one is I want to express my appreciation that we're doing this meeting here at Curie High School, where this and many of our other community schools across the city we're very proud of. We think there's a long ongoing tradition that the board had of having meetings out in neighborhood schools, and we're glad to see that tradition return. It was a mistake to stop doing it that way, and we're glad to see it back. We hope that continues. Second point, as I mentioned last month, we have recently concluded a contract negotiation that's given us a new agreement for the next 5 years. It took an 11-day strike to achieve and a lot of hard work at the negotiating table. We're proud of that. We hope that that ushers in a period of time where we can work together, achieve a lot of great things, and we're both proud and we anticipate an era where we can have improved relations with the Board of Education, and we're going to keep working to that goal. The third thing on a slightly more difficult note is I'd ask for help from the Board of Education. There are a number of outstanding issues where we reached agreement at the negotiating table, but we've had some difficulty actually getting those agreements implemented. One of the issues that we've been struggling with is it's coming up the holidays, and we have not yet received retroactive pay for the agreement that has been now ratified for several weeks. And I know that there are a number of difficulties with doing that are technical in nature. However, some of the things that we need to do in order to make those things go in place, I don't think have begun yet. So for example, for paraprofessionals, the new contract agreement calls for those guys to get lanes which acknowledge their educational attainment. It's a great step forward, but in order to make that happen, we're going to have to then ask those PSRPs how much educational attainment they've had. That process has not yet even begun, as far as I know. So I'd like you guys to take a look into that, because out in the schools, we have members who lost 11 days of pay on the strike. 5 of those are going to be made up. And yet, as of right now, people are looking into the holidays and trying to figure out how we're going to, how they're going to make their bills meet. And it would be great if you guys could look into what's holding up that process for getting those contract provisions actually implemented. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sharkey. Mr. President, I will now proceed with the speakers list, and I'll start by calling the first speaker. Our first speaker is speaker number 1, please, Matt Major, followed by speaker number 2, Jenny Biggs, speaker number 3, Shayla Castellanos, please.
Good evening, President DeValle, members of the board, Dr. Jackson, and CPS leadership. My name is Matt Major, and I'm the policy manager at the Illinois Network of Charter Schools. And at INCS, we work every day to ensure that every student in this city has access to high-quality public education, as shown by our past work with the district on things like student safety initiatives, Go CPS, equitable funding, SQRP, and the charter school quality policy. At INCS, we support we support SQRP as it provides families and the public a clear, standardized tool to gauge school quality. We believe metrics related to student growth, college and career credentials, college attainment and persistence are all especially strong indicators of a high-quality school. Without this important school ratings tool, navigating the enrollment process at CPS would become even more difficult for parents across the city. INCS looks forward to working with the district to ensure a strong school ratings policy continues to be implemented. Further, INCS is proud of our collaborations with the district to implement the charter school quality policy. As a charter community, we understand that we have made a promise: increased autonomy for increased accountability. While we're proud of high-performing schools like KIPP 1 in Humboldt Park, Learn Campbell in East Garfield Park, and Acero Tamayo in Gage Park, we also recognize that not all charter schools have met that promise. Here in Chicago, charter public schools serve over 55,000 students. 98% of those are students of color, and almost exclusively come from communities that have been overlooked and underserved. Because of this and the inconsistent performance of Chicago Virtual Charter School and Fraser Prep Academy, INCS shares a sense of urgency with the district, and we support the recommendations to close these schools. While school closure should always be a last resort, we believe students attending these schools have a number of higher quality options within their communities.
Mr. Major, can you please conclude?
And we applaud the district's efforts to increase the likelihood of a high quality education in these neighborhoods and offer our support in whatever way we can to ensure that every student impacted by any school closures end up in a better performing school. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Our next speaker, please, speaker number 2, Jennifer Biggs. As she approaches the microphone, I'll call speaker number 4, Amber Purnell, followed by speaker number 7, Beth Napleton, please. Ms. Biggs?
Thank you. Jenny Biggs, CPS parent, raise your hand. First of all, SQRP and the charter rating policy, they're both based on very narrow metrics. New Year's resolutions for CPS and the Lightfoot appointed Board of Education. Number 1, respect parent leaders and parent voice. Thank you for hosting this meeting in the evening and in a neighborhood. Last month, Maggie Barron addressed you. She had questions and concerns about the organization, management, and transparency of the LSC Advisory Board. She has since resigned from her LSC and the LSCAB and wrote an explanatory piece in Chalk Beach, Chicago. You have copies. In that piece, Barron says, "I'm not happy that I didn't make a difference and that LSC members across the city are trying to be heard, but instead being ignored. I'm not happy that something that seems so easy has been made so difficult by the school district. And I'm not happy that I can't in good faith encourage others to run for local school council." Sadly, this article resonated with way too many parents. Please commit to making parents a key partner in schools and in this district. Number 2, transparency. Thank you for incorporating the public comments into the education of students with disabilities policy that you are voting on today. Of particular value is the comment summary posted online. It would be extremely beneficial to have that kind of public comment summary completed for the actual IDEA procedure manual and section 504 procedure manual referenced in the policy. We ask you provide a similar report for any new or revised ODLSS procedure manuals. By law, updated space utilization data is due by December 31st. The formula used for this data should take into account the CTU contract's class size limits. Number 3, authentic community engagement. The space, I will conclude. The space utilization data does not show the full story of what is happening in a building, and the formula itself is flawed. You must honestly engage school communities constantly, asking for input before you make decisions, not as part of a checklist for legal compliance. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Biggs. And our next speaker, please, speaker number 3, Shayla Castellanos.
Hi, my name is Shayla, and I graduated from Nobles Pritzker College Prep in 2016. I'm a senior at Norfolk University throughout a scholarship program unique to Noble. I found out about Noble throughout my mom's friend who had 2 kids attended Pritzker. She said that both of her kids were very successful and that they loved it. My parents came to this country to provide me with the best opportunities and believe that that will be Noble. Like my dad will always say, lo más lindo que Dios te puede dar es la educación para seguir adelante, which means the most beautiful thing God can give you is an education to keep going forward. Noble is different. It provided me with the opportunity to stand out as a proud immigrant Latina. It helped me differentiate myself in college application, and it helped me build me as a leader. I will always remember my time at Noble as being able to experience so many different things, from taking Russian to playing rugby. From my high school experience was amazing overall. Even though I have everything stacked up against me as a dreamer, Noble showed me that I could beat those odds. Because of my status, I was awarded the Pritzker Access Scholarship to help me live out my dreams. The scholarship was thanks in the part of the partnership between Noble and the Pritzker Tournament Foundation that's offered to Noble dreamers to fulfill their dreams, their college aspirations. Next year, I'll be graduating not only as a dreamer who has lost her family due to deportation, but I also will be my family's first college graduate. Noble has been with me throughout with constant
Ms.
support.
Castellanos, can you please conclude?
Yes. Noble has been with me throughout with a constant support, and it doesn't surprise me to see them constantly receiving high SQRP scores. And I know you all relative new, but I would love to invite you to come and visit with me and take a tour to Pritzker College Prep, and I will delight be there with you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Our next speaker, please, speaker number 4, Amber Purnell. Moving on to speaker number 7, please, Beth Napleton. As she proceeds to the microphone, I'll call speaker number 5, Monty Trotter Banks, please.
Thank you all for having me here today. I am here in my capacity as the founder and chief executive and academic officer of Chicago Collegiate Charter School in Roseland, a nonprofit organization. Amber Purnell, the vice president of our student council, was supposed to be here today to speak. However, at the time she signed up, she did not realize it was an evening Board of Ed meeting. A sophomore whose brother was stabbed to death in front of her a month ago, she is with family this evening commemorating that. She texted me this morning saying, I really want to be there, but I need to take this time for me to work through this for myself. I hope the board understands. I assured her you would, and I submitted her remarks today on her behalf so that you can read them, which I believe are being distributed right now. I'm here today, and Amber speaks to thanking the board for giving us a second year on the warning list. We take this seriously as demonstrated by the energy and vigor we put behind last year's time. We were all alarmed about the results at our school, not just because of SQRP, but because our mission is to have 100% of our students graduate from college within 6 years of their high school graduation. Obviously, if we aren't academically on track, that can't happen. We worked hard last year and saw benefits of splitting operational leadership off from the principal role onto a revamped operation team, freeing principals up to be instructional leaders. We shifted to more codified practices instructionally, enrolling all instructional leadership at the Relay Graduate School of Education for a year-long program, based on the practices of the Uncommon Network of Schools and the work of Paul Bambrick-Santoyo around data-driven education. We abandoned what had been a time-consuming pursuit of a closed school building, despite having the support of the aldermen and thousands of community members, as we pivoted to a more easily achievable strategy to fill our high school facility needs. Last year, we made significant progress. Our high school 9th grade PSAT growth percentile increased by 371% from the 21st percentile to the 78th percentile. Our math results in 4th through 8th grade increased by 195%, and diverse learning growth increased by 68 percentile points in reading.
Ms. Stapleton?
Virtually every metric increased by double digits, and we are grateful for the time to continue our work on that so that we can continue to be a school that serves students in a neighborhood with limited high-quality educational options. We're thankful for the partnership with the folks at CPS and are excited to invite you to visit our school. We were just announced a Gates partner as a national model for the Building Assets Reducing Risk program and have 100% of our juniors in one goal.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Stapleton. Our next speaker, please, speaker number 5, Marnie Trotter Banks. We'll move on to the next speaker, please. Speaker number 6, Nora Noonan. Number 9, Donato Colito. 14, Zachary Robinson. 22, Christopher Houston. And 37, Khalid Bailey, please. Nora Noonan.
Hi, my name is Nora Noonan, and I am in the 5th grade. I have been going to Kellogg Elementary for the last 6 years. I was recently elected to the student council to represent our students, which is why I'm here this evening. Dr. Jackson might recall when we interviewed her for our media club when she was at our school last year. We are a small neighborhood school that is truly loved. When CPS administrators walked through our school last year, they were amazed of how well it's been maintained for the past 80+ years. Kellogg looks nice because of the facilities people, not because of any investment by CPS. Yet the fact is that the school is 82 years old and is in desperate need for updates and an addition. As a matter of fact, if a student came back after leaving 50 or 80 years ago, they would have been surprised of how little has changed. The bathrooms would look the same as when they graduated, but cracks in the classroom floors would remind them of the true age of the building. The same heating system is still in use, but not working the same as they remembered. If you graduated 20 years ago, you remember the modular. You would be surprised that they are still here until you get a closer look and realize they bear the wear and tear of 20 Chicago winters. Speaking of winters, the kids must go back and forth for lunch, Spanish, art, and gym, regardless of the weather. Last year, one of our 1st graders who is physically handicapped could not attend Spanish or art because the classrooms were on the 2nd floor, and there's no way she could make it up those stairs. We want Kellogg to be ADA compliant, to be accessible to everyone. Our gym is a kitchen, lunchroom, classroom, and an auditorium. Lunches are being prepared in the same room we are having gym class. There should be a dedicated cafeteria and kitchen, and not a closet where we prepare lunches like we have now. I ask you, the Chicago Board of Education, to appropriate the funds for Kate Starr Kellogg Elementary to build an addition and fix the repairs. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
your comments. Their next speaker, Mr. President, is speaker number 9, please, Donato Colito.
Hello, Board of Ed. My name is Donato. I'm from Kellogg and in the 4th grade. And until this year, I've been in the modular building. I'm here about Mission Edition. Mission Edition is an addition built onto, is an extension built onto Kellogg because our modular is supposed to last 20 years and we need to replace it. If you look closely at the modular building, you would see that it is falling apart and the plaster is tearing off. The 3rd, 2nd, and special education classes are now in the modular. We are planning to get a preschool, but right now we don't have space for it. And I was really hoping my sister could go to the same school as me because when she starts preschool, I'll be in 8th grade. We also have our lunch in the gym room, and the gym room is a classroom, kitchen, and an auditorium. And last year, when I was in 3rd grade, we often had to have our gym class in the classroom or the computer lab because the grades above us would eat lunch while we had gym, and that prevented us from going into the gym. I didn't like this because this didn't allow us to play the fun games that we play in the gym. Instead, we either played video games or other things, but we weren't allowed to run. This also went for recess. Most of my class and I were excited to move to the big building, but it has some problems too. I like being in the big building, but I feel bad for the 3rd, 2nd, and special education classes because they have to walk in the freezing cold or the burning hot weather just to get to their specials. The addition would replace the modular and have a cafeteria. I really hope you will help us get the addition. Thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you for your
Thank you.
comments. Our next speaker, please, speaker 14, Zachary Robinson.
God. Hello, I am Zachary Robinson, a 7th grade student at Kate Starr Kellogg Elementary School. I'm here today asking the board to please help make improvements at Kellogg School. I stand before you as a diverse learner and having to share the same classroom with other grade levels. And hearing the teachers and their assignments is very distracting to me and takes away from me learning. We need more classrooms so that we don't have to share the same rooms. Also, we need to move the lunchroom out of the gym room for more gym space. The bathrooms are 80 years old and need remodeling. Every time I walk into the bathroom, it really upsets me to see the paint chipping off the wall and the toilet and the bathroom doors missing for privacy. Kellogg needs updated fire alarms that connects both buildings. At the moment, it is a safety violation. CPS claims to value neighborhood schools, but have not invested in improving Kellogg in years. It's time to make the investments today. Thank you for your time, and I hope you make the necessary improvements at the school.
Thank you.
Mr. Robinson. The next speaker, please, is speaker number 22, Christopher Houston.
Good evening. My name is Christopher Houston, and I'm a 7th grade student at Kellogg Elementary. And I'll be explaining why we are in urgent need of getting the funding and updating to remodel our school. So one major issue is that Kellogg is not ADA compliant, meaning that kids that have disabilities or have broken a bone can't get up to the 2nd floor. The 2nd floor has classes like the 5th grade classroom and all the middle school, including the library/art room. Another major reason is why Kellogg needs funding to remodel their school is because the gym shares the kitchen and the auditorium. The main reason why kids love gym is to be active and to have fun while doing it. It's hard to do that when the kitchen is in our way because when we knock something down, this messes up the whole time frame of the lunch period. Another major issue is the fact that the modular building is falling apart. When we go in the bathroom in the small building, which is the modular, sometimes the bathroom leaks and sometimes the door falls off. The walls also peel. And in the big building, AKA the main building, it really isn't any better. The main building is almost 80 years old, And when we use the bathroom in the main building, sometimes the doors fall off as well. And it also leaks even worse than the modular building. Also in the modular building, there are small childs and no 7th and 8th graders. So when they have to go from class to class, they have to go from the small building to the big building in horrible weather conditions. This can be concerning for their health.
Excuse me, Mr. Houston, can you please conclude?
Kellogg is a neighborhood school that is level 1+, and they're constantly improving and feel like they need, and they feel like they should have improvements to their school. Improvements to our school improvements to our school gives a better environment, and a comfortable environment helps us improve. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments. And their last speaker, Mr. President, is speaker number 37, please, Khalid Bailey.
Hello, my name is Caleb Bailey, and I'm here regarding extensions for our school. Our school is very old, as you know. Our school is 80 years old, and the bathrooms there are not the best. Some of the doors, some of the urinals always clog and are flooded. Some of the doors, one of our stalls is missing a door, and it's just not very healthy. And also our gym is shared with a class, a lunchroom, and an auditorium, and it can be very compact. And during our class, if we knock something over, it's our fault. And, sometimes we feel like we need to help them and pick it up. But at the same time, we want to have fun in gym. And in gym, if we want to have fun, we have to, we kind of want to, just do what we do. And with that, and with that, it's like, you can't have the full effect of gym because you're worried about knocking things over. And if you play somewhere and, there's all those germs and everywhere, you wouldn't want to eat somewhere where it's a whole bunch of germs all over the place from people rolling on the floor, rubbing around the walls. Why would you want to eat there? Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll continue with the next speakers, please, and we'll call speaker number 8, Socorro Vega, followed by speaker number 10, Pamela Plotkin, speaker number 20, Nancy Villafranca, speaker number 11, Julie Luang. Speaker number 8, please, Socorro Vega. Last call.
Good afternoon, President Del Valle, distinguished board members, and Dr. Jackson. My name is Socorro Vega, and I'm here today to talk about my family's experience at Adar Elementary. Adar is a part of the Settle School Charter Network, and my son Matthew is in 2nd grade there. I feel fortunate to have chosen Adar as my son's school. Adar has strong academic standards and is a wonderful learning environment for my son. The teachers, principal, and staff are dedicated to supporting their students and to making it a welcoming place. As a family, we are grateful to be part of the school community. Adar and Acero Network encourage parents to get involved in our school and in our children's education. A new program that was started at Adar this year is Padres Comprometidos. We had our graduation ceremony today for the program, and it was so rewarding to be part of it. Padres Comprometidos is a 10-week program that teaches parents how to get engaged with their child's education, such as connecting with their child's principal, a teacher, and how to help their students at home to improve their academic performance. Beyond the educational aspect, it serves as an opportunity to connect with other parents at the school as we talk through these important topics and we got to know each other. It is important to me to have a school that is focused on building new community, and Adar is an example of one of that has prioritized this. I wanted to share my experience so that people are aware of great schools like Adar and they understand what the school means to its families. I encourage the board to continue to support high-quality schools, whether they are charter schools or neighborhood schools. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Vega, for your comments. Our next speaker, please, speaker number 10, Pamela Plotkin.
Good evening. Good evening. Better? Okay. Good evening, and thank you for this opportunity to speak with you on behalf of the Academy for Global Citizenship Charter School. My name is Pamela Plotkin, and my daughter Francesca is fortunate enough to be in the dual language program in first grade. My wife and I travel 3 hours a day to and from AGC. What could be worth that? I'll tell you. From the moment we walked into the school, I knew it was the place for our child and family. There is a very open and welcoming attitude, something we were so excited and happy to find. This is a genuine open doors situation. We are greeted every morning by a principal or other staff members with smiles as we walk our daughter to her class. I have witnessed a fully invested staff and parent group dedicated to our children and our global future. This school serves only organic food and highly encourages best practices when it comes to the environment. They actively participate and teach students how to become better global citizens by using their voices, reducing their carbon footprint, and learning how to be effective communicators. Our daughter is enthusiastic to share and incorporate these ideas at home. Frankie's teachers and other staff have asked us to collaborate on projects or present things in individual classes or to the whole school. We are very much included in decisions, changes, and most importantly, the well-rounded education our child is receiving. At AGC, there are staff, teachers, administration, parents, kids, and the school has forged a beautiful path to truly join all of us together as a community.
Ms. Plotkin, can you please conclude?
This atmosphere is essential to learning. Our daughter knows the adults are fully invested, fully collaborative, and the strong sense of community inspires her to grow in reading both in English and Spanish, math and art, as well as empathy, communication skills, and kindness, while becoming strongly aware of her global impact.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
for your
Thank you
comments.
again.
Thank you.
Our next speaker, Mr. President, speaker number 20, please, Nancy Villafranca.
Hello, good evening. My name is Nancy Villafranca, and I'm also a parent at Academy for Global Citizenship, AGC as we know it. I've been a parent at the school since day one, 11 years ago when it first opened. My son graduated from AGC a few years ago after 9 years of IB education and is now thriving right here at Curie High School's IB program as well, while my daughter is enjoying the 5th grade in the dual language program, Hablando Inglés y Español al 100%, where she is learning 2 languages and through the inquiry-based IB curriculum. I worked in education for most of my career, and I currently work at one of the city's museums. And I can personally attest as a parent, as a Chicagoan, as an educator, that AGC is a jewel in our city. And I'm really here because I want to share with you 2 major ways, and there are many, that AGC is doing amazing work for our neighborhoods and most importantly for our students in the southwest side of the city. One, I firmly believe that AGC is a school that is committed to facilitating collaboration within its local community and modeling community impact. AGC, as Pamela says, welcomes and empowers all families and community members to use the school as a hub because really it lives and breathes the homeschool community partnerships. We organize events like Parent University. We have a parent representative on the board of directors. We collaborate with the immediate LeClaire Hearst community, with Alderman Mike Rodriguez. We invite local nonprofits and activists into the classroom so that students learn directly from them, have bilingual book clubs, and on and on. But through all of it, AGC is a community connector. One of my second top favorite things among many that I love about AGC is that it really believes in models experiential learning. From day one that my son came home from school and was making me kneel in my backyard, demanding that we plant a garden, that from that moment on it had me. And then a few years ago, he traveled to Puerto Rico to meet with local farmers and personally learn how to be a global citizen.
Thank you, Ms. Villafranca.
Thank you.
Thank you. And our next speaker is Julie Lang. Before she proceeds, I'll call the next group quickly. We have speaker number 12, Robin Staines, 23, Azadi Williams, 27, Walanda Cannon, 29, Freddie Golden, 32, Maya Clark, and 35, Marta Van Patterson. Ms. Lang?
Good evening, CPS board members.
As parents, community members, and friends of Volta Elementary, a neighborhood school in Albany Park serving a low-income population of 89% with a limited English base of 66% and a diverse population of 63% Latinx, 21% Asian, 2% Black, 5% white, and 8% other, we come today to request assistance in acquiring what already exists at our neighboring schools of Peterson, Edison Gifted, and Palmer Elementary. And as a note, these are schools that are neither as diverse nor serve as many low-income children as Volta. Today, we are requesting $100,000 in funding or any amount that you can help us reach this goal to create science lab classrooms for our middle school children, which do not exist today and would not only be invaluable to our middle schoolers, but would also be an asset for our Science Olympiad team, which has consistently earned top rankings and last year placed 5th in the Illinois state competition and 2nd at the regional competition, placing only 2nd to the gifted Whitney Young Academic Center. Currently, our middle schoolers' science program is book-based with computer simulations only, lacking any hands-on lab learning experiences, and our Science Olympiad team, which meets both after school and on weekends, achieve their science-minded skills and creations in non-science classrooms, hallways, and gyms, and travel to wealthy suburban schools to conduct experiments. Our children deserve better. Our community has been working tirelessly to achieve funding for science labs by fundraising, participating in our aldermen's budgetary processes, but we cannot do it
Ms.
alone
Lang?
and need your help. As Jericho, a Science Olympiad medalist, said, all in all, having a lab in school would be incredibly helpful as a competitor and student. It gives us a place to make the science class interesting and a place to practice our chemistry. Thank you, Alderman Nugent, Senator Martinez, State Representative Jaime Andres, and Arnie Rivera, COO. And thank you for considering our request.
Thank you.
Ms. Lang. Our next speaker, please, Speaker 12, Robin Staines.
Hello, my name is Robin Staines. I am a former CPS high school teacher, a longtime CPS parent, and a former member of 2 different LSCs. I can attest it's a great experience. I have been affiliated with North Lawndale College Prep since its inception 21 years ago. I worked with a community team to submit an original application because they saw a need at the high school level and have served on the board uninterrupted for 21 years. Joseph Berry, who we couldn't get on the speaker list, is with me today, was a student in our first graduating class. Joe is now a serial entrepreneur who runs his own business, and he and his wife are raising their family on the west side, not too far from NLCP. He stays in touch with many of his former classmates and alums, and about 10 to 15 years ago, Joe joined me on the board. We require that 1/3 of our board members be from the community, parents, residents, leaders. And Joe and I are here today to attest to the role North Lawndale College Prep plays in the lives of its students and its neighborhood. In an area impacted by violence, it is a haven. In a community with historically low college graduation rates, the school is both graduating its own students, it's sending them to college, and it's supporting them once they get there to complete at 3 times the neighborhood rate. NLCP was the first high school in the city to employ a full-time alumni counselor to support college students as they navigated post-secondary, many of them the first in their families. It was the first high school in the city to create an emergency fund to support students, knowing small dollar amounts can make a huge difference. It was the first high school in the city to partner with Success Universities to negotiate affordable tuition, and then the first high school to create a scholarship fund, the Phoenix Pact, to help close remaining tuition gaps so that dollars wouldn't be the reason kids went to the schools that would serve them best. These are now common practices in a number of schools. They started there. And it is the first and only high school to create a safe haven for homeless students. We have become an essential institution in the community. We invite you to visit and see for yourself, or ask any of our more than 2,100 graduates who have gone to become lawyers, medical professionals, teachers, a principal at one of our own campuses who you're going to hear from in a moment.
Thank you, Ms.
Please
Staines.
vote to support the school when you can. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker, please, Speaker 23, Azadi Williams.
Good evening. My name is Azadi Williams, and I'm here to represent North Lawndale College Prep as the principal. As Ms. Steens mentioned, I'm affiliated with NLCP as an alumna and the current principal at the Christiana campus. I began my career as an intern in the main office, and as you might imagine, I slowly moved up in the ranks as a student, as an advocate, And when I returned home from college, I thought it was in my best interest to give back to the community. And why not work at the one place that helped to pour into me? I was a sub, a teacher, became a department chair, assistant principal, and now principal. NLCP provided me with a host of unique college exposure opportunities and experiences that none of my peers experienced. North Lawndale College Prep is the kind of school that has been invaluable for the community since 1998. The community has looked at it as a beacon of light and its ability to provide really robust and creative experiences for its scholars that are continued to be unique to their experience in the community in efforts to respond directly to their needs. North Lawndale is the kind of school that looks at its students as opportunities for growth and opportunities for creativity, opportunities to really invest in their development as individuals, professionals, and social beacons in their community. For example, the Phoenix Pact is an opportunity where North Lawndale gets a chance to pour into its students directly into their future and not see them struggle financially when they leave NLCP. Upon graduating from North Lawndale, I could have gone and worked anywhere else. But when I came back from college, I decided to work at NLCP, and look at me today. North Lawndale continues to be the kind of school and community that pays it forward by investing in students and their futures, and students from North Lawndale leave the building knowing that they can always come back and the hands will be open. Students from North Lawndale shouldn't have to go
Ms.
outside of the
Williams?
community to get what they need. They should get it right at home. So I ask you to join North Lawndale to learn more about what we have to offer. And as an educational leader and former student, Chicago resident, I request that the board of CPS looks at to renew North Lawndale College Prep and all the awesome things we have to offer. Thank you.
Ms. Williams. Thank you for your comments. Mr. President, our next speaker will be speaker number 27, please. Walanda Cannon.
Good evening. Thank you. My name is Walanda Cannon. I'm the proud parent of a North Lawndale College Prep student, Freddie Golden, who you'll hear from today. He's an honor roll student, a basketball player, and a student activist, but I'm also Senior Director of Development for a social service agency in East Garfield Park. I witnessed the impact and outcomes of insufficient education, lack of cultural competency, inefficient tools, resources, and relationships so needed for our students every day in our community. Thankfully, North Lawndale College Prep is working to eliminate the barriers that happen as a result of those, the lack of those things. I see not only happening for my son, but most importantly, his peers. 2 years ago, when Freddie was a freshman, I gave a ride home to one of his friends. He found himself in trouble that summer of his summer of his 8th grade year, and I asked him where was he going to high school, and he said that he didn't know. It was a week before school started. Not only did he not know where he was going to go, he had just moved to the community. He couldn't even tell me the street where he lived on. So I knew Freddie had gotten accepted. I established some relationships with the administrators there. I called them. They immediately went into action. This child did not have the support that my son has, nor did he have the grades that my son, or the scores that my son had to get into a selective enrollment school. He didn't even know the process. But today, I am so happy to say that this kid is now in his 2nd year at North Lawndale College Prep. He is thriving and has his sights on college. I know that as a result of North Lawndale College Prep, he is succeeding because of that. Not only do I see this in this child, but every weekend, my house is the house where other young boys, I'm cooking for them and bringing out extra blankets. I see it happening with them as well.
Ms. Cannon, can you
Thank
please
you.
conclude?
We need people, administrators, and schools just like North Lawndale College Prep. I welcome you guys to come down to see and experience what me and my son are experiencing and renew their charter. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. The next speaker, please. Speaker 29, Freddie Golden.
Hello, my name is Freddie Golden, and I am currently a sophomore at the Collins campus of North Lawndale College Prep. I am maintaining a 4.8 GPA. I'm a point guard on the basketball team, and I am active in the community as a North Lawndale Peace Warrior. I am here to give you the many reasons to vote positively to renew the charter for North Lawndale College Prep. Out of all the schools that I was accepted to coming out of 8th grade, none compared to North Lawndale. When I walk into North Lawndale, the feeling that I first feel and still feel today as a student is family. As a student, I know that I will always have support from North Lawndale as I move around into my career in the future. Every leader in the building is committed to ensuring that I am the best student that I can be and that I receive everything that I need to get into college and be successful in the college environment. In North Lawndale, I fear that there's an atmosphere that urges us to not say if we will go to college, but rather to say when we go to college. This is important and needed in our community. I would like to thank you for allowing me to speak, and I would like to ask you to vote positively to renew the charter of North Lawndale College Prep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Golden. And the next speaker, Mr. President, is Speaker 32, please, Maya Clark.
Hello, I'm Maya Clark. I am a proud alumni from North Lawndale College Prep class of 2016. I will be the first Phoenix PAC graduate from Tougaloo College, where I'm prepared to obtain my degree in economics and hope to continue my success into sports marketing. I have proudly worked as an NLCP Peace Warrior for 7 years. Being a Peace Warrior, I had the chance to train thousands of Chicagoland students and Dr. Martin Luther King 6 principles of Kenya nonviolence throughout the school year and summer. One way NLCP helped me in my success to and through college is mentally and emotionally. Knowing I'm not alone and I have the chance to reach out to former teachers, staff members, and peers reminds me everything I'm going through is normal and a part of success. NLCP always encouraged me to advocate for myself and also others. North Lawndale also grants alumni opportunities to come back and intern with them during the summer and help us build our networking skills, communication skills, and our resumes. As a proud alumni of North Lawndale, I request that the board and leadership of Chicago Public Schools vote to renew the charter of North Lawndale College Prep High School. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Clark. I'll continue with the speakers list, Mr. President. I'll call speaker number 13, please, Sharonda Walker, followed by 15, Joe Pace, followed by speaker number 16, Andrell Holloway, and speaker number 19, Liz Goss.
Good evening. My name is Sharonda Walker. I'm a proud parent of 2 students that attend Calidus Circle Rock.
Excuse me, can you adjust the mic just a tad? Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Sharonda Walker. I'm a proud parent of 2 students that attend Calidus Circle Rock. I have an 8th grader and a 4th grader. Calidus, an 8th grader. Calidus is an amazing school. Even though it's not in the best neighborhood, their curriculum and programs are providing our children with confidence in addition to exposing them to different opportunities in life. I personally love the Ravinia program. I'll tell you, if you could hear our children from the west side of Chicago play their instrument, it will bring tears to your eyes. Jax, my 8th grader, was able to sing My Shot with the Circle Rocket Orchestra at the Mayor Reform this year. I'm also proud to say she's featured in this year's annual report, the highlighted student at Calidus. She plays the violin. She's also in other programs such as Towers of Excellence, National Honors, National Junior Honor Society. And I also tell my girls and other students, just because you live in a rough area does not mean that you have to be a product of your environment. I say this because we don't see the opportunities that Calidus provide for our children in our community. So I promote Calidus and feel this is one of the best grammar schools on the west side of Chicago. And I've attended the Calidus board meetings, and I'm a parent candidate for the Calidus board. I brought brochures of this year's annual report for you guys. Thanks for hearing me.
Thank you, Ms. Walker. Thank you for your comments. Our next speaker, please, Joe Pace. Last call. Thank you. We'll proceed by calling the next speakers then. We have speaker number 19, Liz Goss, followed by speaker 16, Andrell Holloway.
Good evening, CPS board and CPS leadership. My name's Liz Goss, and I'm the principal at Legacy Charter School. Legacy's been serving the North Lawndale community for the last 15 years, and we ask that you grant our 3rd request for charter renewal. We're a standalone charter that serves 468 scholars kindergarten through 8th grade, and we partner with a local pre-K program to offer 40 students pre-K. Our mission is to create critical and creative problem solvers and leaders that the world needs. We're proud to say that we've earned a level 1 on the SQRP rating by CPS, and we are rated commendable by the state. But we also know those metrics are not our only measures of success. Our mission is to lay the foundation for a college education. We ensure that our students are going to the right fit high schools and making their ways to college. Our first graduating class that started 15 years ago in 3rd grade are now seniors in college. And we're getting ready to, last week we packaged up over 50 care packages for alumni that are in college for their college finals. We have alumni at the best universities in the country, University of Michigan, U of I, Washington University, Howard. We're preparing the next generation of nurses, lawyers, doctors, and teachers. We believe in teaching scholars to become leaders, which means that we not only have to have high academic expectations, but we also teach social and emotional skills that are necessary for success in our world. We're a family school with a long wait list. This summer, we had over 300 applicants that were still on the wait list hoping to secure a spot. We also have a high teacher retention rate. I'm one example. I was a founding teacher 15 years ago, and I have not left yet. Our scholar population is 90% low income, and our
Ms. Goss,
percentage.
Can you please conclude?
Sure. Our percentage of scholars with IEPs are generally proportional to CPSs. We respectively ask the board to renew our charter so we can continue to fulfill our mission. It's good for our scholars, our families, our school community, the North Lawndale community, and our world. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. And the next speaker, speaker number 16, please, Andrell Holloway.
Thank you. Good evening, CPS board members and leadership. My name is Andrew Holloway. I'm the co-board chair of Legacy Charter School. On behalf of Legacy's board, I'd like to express our thanks for the opportunity, as Liz Goss, our principal, said, continue creating critical thinkers and creative problem solvers among Legacy's nearly 470 students, or as we call them, scholars. The Legacy board will continue to do all that we can to govern Legacy and help ensure its students continue to receive outstanding educational opportunities in the years to come. Instead of me providing you with me and the board's perspective of how Legacy as leadership, teachers, and support staff provide outstanding educational opportunities, I'd like to read a parent statement. The parent says, I've been a Legacy parent for over 10 years. I love everybody here. Legacy is like family. You are not going to find another place like this on the West Side, no matter how hard you look. The staff is what makes Legacy special. They are all amazing, loving, caring. They are so dedicated to each scholar. My oldest son, Armand, has been part of Legacy, or was part of Legacy, since kindergarten. He graduated top of his class at Legacy, number 4, and he's doing well at Westinghouse because of the preparation that he had at Legacy. He came back to speak at the Legacy anniversary because he loves it so much. I also encourage a woman I know to enroll her son at Legacy. She got into Legacy through the lottery, but wasn't so sure about switching him. Her son is a handful, and I knew Legacy would take care of him. Legacy takes care of everyone, I told her. You have him in the right place. He has the right teacher. She is going to make sure he is on track. I truly mean it when I say Legacy is a special place. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Holloway, for your comments. Mr. President, our next group is from Fraser Prep Academy, and we do have a large contingency for that group, so I'll be calling them in groups of 5. Their first speaker is Speaker 17, Jill Bush, followed by Speaker 24, Claranda Morgan, 28, Jaden Gardley, 30, Eric White, and number 31, please, Nerea Newman.
Good evening, school board members and the Board of Education panel. My name is Jill Bush. I stand before you today as a supporter, part-time substitute teacher, mentor, and Westside community representative for and in support of Fraser Prep Academy. Please reconsider your request to close Fraser Prep Academy. I can give you 101 reasons why Fraser Prep Academy should stay open. However, time won't permit. We cannot afford to lose another school on the west side of Chicago. I have been a part of Fraser Prep Academy for 4 school years. Although we've had some challenges at Fraser, however, I have seen many students work hard and make academic progress. Please give Fraser Prep Academy an opportunity to change the errors of its ways. We can do it with your support. Our students and community is counting on you to keep Fraser Prep Academy open. Please and thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bush, for your comments. Their next speaker, Mr. President, is Speaker 24, please, Claranda Morgan.
Hello, board. My name is Claranda Morgan. I'm a parent, a former parent of Fraser Preparatory Academy. I'm also a security guard there. I just want to share this with you guys. About 15 years ago, I was in a really bad domestic relationship and I didn't have nowhere for my kids to go. My 2 boys, they grown men now. And the neighborhood that I was in, I just walked into Fraser and they accepted my children. I didn't know what to do or what to say, and that school saved my life. That was 15 years ago. My sons graduated, went to high school, and my youngest son is now in college. I've always been indebted to Fraser, and when I was working at another school as a security guard, I've always remembered them, and I was always indebted to them. And I always wanted to thank them for saving me and my son's life 15 years ago. And I had opportunities to work for them. And when I started working for them and I saw all of how they remembered me and my sons, and I saw all the children there, and I also said to myself, because they saved my life, I'm going to forever be in debt to Fraser and save these children's lives by coming to work every day and being there for them and supporting them in their time of need like Fraser was there for me. I get up every day and go to work just for those children. I lost family members. I lost my soul, and those children saved me. So I made it my goal every day to get up and go and try to save them every day. I motivate and I encourage them every day. I hug them and I give them inspiring words every day. Fraser saved me, and it's my goal to save them, and I'm asking you, please don't close Fraser.
Ms. Morgan, can you please conclude?
Yes. And I'm gonna leave with this saying. My grandmother told me when I was a little girl, Rhonda, a broke crayon can still color. We can still color. Just please don't close us, and thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Morgan. The next speaker, Mr. President, is speaker number 28, please, Jaden Gardley.
Good afternoon. Hello, my name is Jaden, and I am a 5th grade student at Fraser Prep. I have been a student here since pre-K, and in that time, I have evolved personally, matured a great deal, and consider myself college-bound. I owe this evolution to Fraser's teachers, administrators, paraprofessionals, and security team, and overall school culture. They have helped me identify how to do what is right and are helping prepare all Fraser scholars for the expectations of the outside world. The classrooms are very welcoming, and the teachers are like family. They genuinely care about the students' overall growth, safety, and development. For example, Ms. Getson, my current 5th grade science and homeroom teacher, has helped me mature by being helpful, nice, and has taught us how to make the best possible decisions in a variety of different situations. I suffer from a heart condition that has, in some cases, caused me to pass out. When this happens, I can't hear anything and I feel stuck in one place. This happened very recently in class, but luckily Ms. Getson and Mr. Johnson, one of our security guards, was there to keep me safe. My mother and I are extremely thankful for them. When I was younger, I did not have any idea what it meant to be college bound. However, that fantasy has become an expectation. I do not want to go to college. Instead, I expect to go to college and beyond. I have Fraser to thank for that. If you elect to close our school, You are doing more than shutting its doors. You are breaking apart my family. Please take,
Mr. Gardley, can you please conclude?
please take this in consideration. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Their next speaker, Mr. President, Eric White, please.
Good evening. This situation is wrapped in a lot of issues and things that I'm not qualified to even speak on, but it's very easy to get wrapped up in numbers that kind of make your job sound important or advocate to close a place that you've never walked into. If you've never seen our kids, you've never spoken to them, then you wouldn't understand how devastating it would be to close those doors. I'm here as an advocate, not to ask you to keep our doors open, because what we have going is a divine intervention. Hollow walls where regardless of what the numbers say, lives are being changed and lifelong relationships are being built. Every place has a story and we're not finished writing ours. I got faith in that. It's heartbreaking to sit here and listen to all these people try to search for reasons to keep doors open, especially when, regardless of whether you say public or charter, it's still a school. It's a school where learning is being happened and kids they feel at home. You don't solve problems, especially money problems, by balancing budgets on the backs of children. You simply don't make promises you can't keep. You collaborate and you come up with solutions. Rather than closing schools, has anybody even put on the table maybe collaborating some of these schools rather than shutting the doors? These hearings seem to be built just so people can feel like they've tried when decisions have already kind of been made. Well, we have to start to understand that the people that get hurt in this are not the adults walking
Mr.
through the
White.
building because we can find new jobs. These kids need some place to go. And in North Lawndale, they walk past closed schools all day. Don't close another one. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Before their next speaker, 31 narrator Newman proceeds, I'll call speaker 33, please, Samaya Rocket. 34, Antonio Gross. 36, Kyla Cox. 38, Don Antinelli. And 39, please, Tommy Duff. Ms. Newman?
Good evening. My name is Niara Newman. I've been at Fraser for 7 years. I believe Fraser should stay open because this school taught me a lot of things. This school helped me improve academically. Fraser changed me and made me the scholar I am today. I believe if you guys close these doors, it will impact everybody that's already been at Fraser. Usually now and then, 8th graders that graduated the previous year or the previous school year, they come in saying hey to their teachers, like, hey, Miss Cotton, hey. I was like, I want to be one of them 8th graders too. When I graduate, I'm gonna come back. Hey, I want my teachers to be excited to see me. They can ask, that's Niara? Yeah. But thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Newman. The next speaker, Mr. President, please, speaker 33, Samaya Rocket. Not present, we'll proceed. We have speaker 34, please, Antonio Gross.
I would just like to say good evening. My name is Antonio Gross. And I'd just like to say, it's not a good feeling to know that your school is getting shut down and you built so many relationships, with teachers, security guards, friends, and all that's about to break apart because my school's about to get shut down. And it's kind of hard, trying to talk about it up here. And all I like to say is, please don't shut our school down. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gross. Their next speaker, Mr. President, please, speaker 36, Kaya Cox.
Good evening. So being an 8th grader at the school, I've been at the school my whole life, 9 years. It's kind of hard to hear about it being shut down, kind of hard to come up here and talk about it being shut down. I've had a lot of teachers help me get through things, hard things that I couldn't get through at home. There were many things that happened during my school years. Been through a lot of things, and I would like to thank my 8th grade science teacher, Ms. Cotton. Ms. Cotton is one of the best science teachers you can have. She helps you through a lot, and she doesn't just teach you science, she teaches you real world situations. She helps you through a lot. Being at the school for my entire life, being at the school, my entire school career, to be honest, is kind of speechless to be hearing that it's shutting down. My mind is just going everywhere, and it feels like I have no say in anything of my school being shut down. I built many relationships with many teachers, many students. Like I said, I was an 8th grader. I will be graduating next year, going to high school. High schools will look at me, a student coming from a shut down school. When they see that, what would they think? So basically concluding my speech, I would like to say shutting down a school is basically packing up my childhood and throwing it in the dumpster. Thank you.
The next speaker, Mr. President. Speaker number 38, please, Don Tignanelli.
Good evening, honored board members. My name is. Good evening, honored board members. My name is Don Tignanelli, and I just come to you this evening really speaking from the heart. You hear the children, you hear the parents, and you hear the staff members. I'm an educator with 42 years of experience. I've been a teacher, I've been a principal, I've been a superintendent, I've been a director of curriculum. I've worked in Chicago, I've worked in Detroit, Baltimore, Philadelphia. I've been in influence schools. I've been in the poorest of poor schools. I have really seen a lot of experience. I've not seen the passion and the dedication of the staff members from Fraser Prep. I saw them in their former building in North Lawndale on Grenshaw when they were thriving, when the innovation came out from the community, from the leaders who saw something and it developed from the ground up. I saw them move to another building. I saw them cross the Great Divide where they lost their enrollment and had to start all over again. And they persisted. They reached out. They hugged those children. They welcomed every family member. They embraced everything down to the pit of their stomach. In 2016, a new management company came their way, and I worked for the former management company. And I'm going to be very frank, it was a different philosophy, taking a model that worked in Ohio and bringing it to a school on the west side of Chicago. It did not work. I parted ways. This board took the courageous decision to self-manage beginning this school year.
Mr. Tignanelli.
We need to give them another year. They need to be able to take this self-management to the next level. I thank you for your consideration.
Thank you for your comments. Their next speaker, please, speaker number 39, Tommy Duff. Before Mr. Duff proceeds, I will call speaker number 40, please, Isaiah Carter, followed by speaker 41, Ethan Mosby. We then have speaker 42, Victor Harvey, 44, Amila Briscoe, and 43, Kamari Johnson. Mr. Duff?
Hi, my name is Tommy Duff. I am the chair, the current chair of Fraser Preparatory Academy. And this is disheartening news. At first, I want to start and say this. This is not a war. public schools against charter schools. It's about a war of educating our children overall. I will be the first to say, sign us up if we are failing, but we're not. You got my packet of information of where we were, where we are. We're 2 points from a 3. 2 points. And that's due to attendance that we believe have not been calculated in our overall scores. 2 days missing. If we had gotten that, I believe that we would have been at a 3 and over. Be that what it may, I would like to recognize President Bobby Steele to take the remainder of my time. President Steele, if you would come forth, she's the
I'm
seed.
sorry, sir, you can't cede your time. So you can finish your 2 minutes.
So I can't,
No,
okay.
sir, I'm sorry.
Well, you didn't have those rules, so
They're on our guidelines, sir.
I guess
Thank you.
I must have overlooked that.
Thank
But
you.
let me start off by, let me finish up by saying this. It's because of her seed, the late Commissioner Robert Steele, that Fraser exists today. Now, those 2 points would have put us at a 2+ or even a 3 level. The state, ISB, recognized that we have a commendable rate. We went from one of the lowest performing schools to a commendable school. We jumped a whole level. And my concern and problem is when I have groups like INCS, who we supported over the years,
Mr. Duff,
come
can you
up and
conclude?
say they recommend and approve us closing. I wonder what's going on behind closed doors. It's disheartening. I grew up on the west side of Chicago. I'm a product. I've traveled the world. I've come back to Chicago to help the west side because it
Thank
seems
you.
like there's not enough people helping the west side of Chicago. And I say again in my closing comments, this is not a competition. It's not public versus charter.
Thank you, Mr. Duff.
It's all about
Our
educating
next speaker,
our
please.
children.
Thank you, Mr. Duff.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I don't like the limited time of minutes
Thank you.
because you're
Thank you,
talking
Mr.
about
Duff.
lives of
Thank
people
you.
on the west
The
side.
next speaker, please, Mr. President, is speaker number 40, Isaiah Carter.
Hello, my name is Isaiah Carter. I've been at Fraser pretty much my whole life too. I've been here since first grade and I'm an 8th grader now. Since my whole school year, I've pretty much been doing good. I've been excelling, but it's like at the points when I was at my lowest, it was teachers that helped me. Like they built a relationship with people around me and my parents, and they helped me through my school year, even when I was doing bad, like really bad, had F's before report cards was coming out, and they actually helped me to get it back up. And on top of that, like a lot of students, it was like everybody cares, but it's like sometimes it goes wrong, but most teachers and like staff members, they care enough to help all the kids that they can. It's just some might slip away, but most of the time, everybody is coming out with a good reputation from Fraser. Like a lot of kids that came from Fraser actually went on to do good things in high school. And one of my 5th grade teachers, this was 5th grade year, his name was Mr. Mark Hayes, and he was a good friend of my mom. And he was one of the teachers that helped me to pass 5th and then almost 6th grade, but he left. And I had an F. I had 2 Fs almost. And one was a low C. And he helped me to build both of those back up, and one wasn't even in his class. And he spent extra time to help me get good grades. And I feel like you shouldn't close Fraser because
Mr. Carter, can you please conclude?
I feel like you shouldn't close Fraser because if you close Fraser, you're closing out a lot of people that care, especially for kids that come from a lot of low places.
Thank you.
The next speaker, Mr. President, is speaker 41, Ethan Mosby, please.
Hello, my name is Ethan Mosby.
Hello, my name is Ethan Mosby. You should not close friend. My name is Ethan Mosby. I am in third grade. I have been here for 3 years. Fraser is very special. Teachers always include fun in their projects. You should never close down Fraser. Fraser is a learning place where kids deserve learning. If you close down Fraser, you will close down an opportunity of kids that deserve to learn. So please do not close down Fraser. Kids deserve to learn. I am begging you.
Thank you.
The next speaker, speaker 42, please, Victor Harvey.
Hello, my name is Victor Hervey, and I've been at Fraser for about 6 years. When I started off at Fraser, I wasn't the best person to get along with, but thanks to these teachers like Ms. Gosen, Mr. Disson, and Ms. Conner, I learned to be a better student, more importantly, a better person. Nowadays, when I come to school, my grades started improving, and more important, my NWA scores, because these teachers that started helping me to like improve, like Mr. Disson. He'll stay after school with me sometimes to like go over skills that I don't understand quite yet, and so I could like build more knowledge about that skill, so I could do better on my quizzes, tests, and NWA. So I'm saying don't close Fraser, because this is a school that I've been at for like half of my life. So don't close Fraser. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harvey. The next speaker, Mr. President, speaker 44, please, Amila Briscoe.
Hello, my name is Amila Briscoe, and I am in third grade at Fraser. I have been a scholar at Fraser since first grade. I think Fraser is a good school because every teacher does their best to give a scholar an education. One of the things I like about Fraser is every year we talk about being family because we all care about each other. We will be very sad to see my family break apart. I am asking you not to close Fraser down.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Briscoe. And before their next speaker, 43, Kamari Johnson, proceeds, I will call speakers 45, Taisia Mathis, 47, Sandria Lomax, 57, Anthony Grady, 58, Jamal Roberts, and 59, Donovan Roberts. Mr.
Hi, my name is Kamara Johnson. I stand before you in support of keeping Fraser Preparatory Academy open. I am an 8th grade scholar at Fraser Prep Academy. Fraser Prep Academy is all I know. Fraser Prep has helped me so much that I feel like I can conquer the world. I have grown into the smart and challenging young man due to being a student at FPA for the past 8 years. This past Saturday, I was able to select enrollment test for Whitney Young, Lane Tech, Walter Payton, and Westinghouse. I was hoping that my sister and brother would be able to get the same educational experience from Fraser Prep and graduate from here as well. At Fraser, our teachers strive to make sure that we accomplish our everyday goals. I do not want to be the last graduating class of Fraser Preparatory Academy to keep our school open.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. Next speaker, please, Taisia Mathis. We'll proceed with the next speaker, 47, Sandria Lomax.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Pastor Sandria Lomax, and several parents and teachers and administrators are my congregants. I have enjoyed a long relationship with Fraser Prep and have been privy to the warm family atmosphere that permeates this school. Not only are our teachers and other staff very dedicated to seeing our students excel academically, they also are helping to prepare them for lifelong excellence as the students merge into society. We have had a number of head of schools over the past 5 years, but we now have an administration in place that has been with Fraser Prep since its inception. And this administration is very capable of permanently restoring our academic credibility and removing us from the CPS warning list. Please allow this current administration an opportunity to put Fraser Prep back on the academic trajectory that you, the board, has been asking for. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Ms. Lomax. And the next speaker, please, Speaker 57, Anthony Grady.
Good evening, board. My name is Dr. Anthony Grady. Before I give my spiel on why I believe Fraser is a great opportunity waiting, I just want to say that I grew up on the south side of Chicago. I went to Hills Franciscan. I was an honor student all 4 years, and I knew I was going to college. But the one thing I didn't understand was the ACT. I got a 13. Again, private school, honor student, 4 years. I played 3 sports. I was gonna get drafted playing baseball. I got a 16, but I stand here, I'm Dr. Grady. How does that define that education cannot work without people helping? Again, I got a 13 on the ACT. These kids don't understand yet until they get to high school, but I stand here as Dr. Grady. So that means that somewhere down the line, somebody took the time to help me or give me the tools necessary to be successful. I look and I listen to some of the statistics and some of the things that people are saying and balancing. I heard it best that this is not about private or charter, or public or charter, or poor or rich. I think the problem is that we missed the point is that Fraser brought me in last year to deal with the social emotional piece that our kids deal with, something that people forget about, educators do. Our kids suffer emotionally because they're raising themselves. We missed the component that our parents sometimes drop the ball and our teachers are here picking up balancing behaviors, trying to be a friend, trying to be that other parent. So therefore, education gets lost sometimes. But I noticed that Fraser has allowed me to come in, and last year I got a resounding, innovative clap from 8th graders that some knew me and some didn't know me, but because of my presence and the fact that I was able to intervene in situations where kids were feeling challenges from their own personal life, not the academic, their personal life. And I was able to work with them outside of what we consider special education or having a special person to address it. This year, I've seen a lot of behavioral decrease because of that social emotional piece that's been brought in. And I'm very proud to say that Fraser's allowed me to work with these kids and give them opportunity to see me. They give me as transparent as it can be. So as a product, I just want to say continue to work and hopefully give Fraser an opportunity to stay open.
Thank you.
And the next speaker, Speaker 58, please, Jamal Roberts.
Good evening. My name is Jamal Roberts. I'm an 8th grader at Fraser Preparatory Academy. I've been at Fraser for 2 years. And before I got to Fraser during my 6th grade year, it was a lot of talk about high school and what high schools to go to. So I was talking to my sister and she was like, well, you know, it's real hard to get into Lane Tech and all that. So I really thought that like I would never be able to do it. But when I went to Fraser in my 7th grade year, I was getting pushed constantly over exceeding my limits by teachers like Ms. Cotton and Ms. Stewart. And now I am proud to say that schools like Lane Tech and Westinghouse are actually looking into me so I can go there. So please do not close down Fraser so kids like other kids that have been like me can actually have a chance. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Roberts. And their next speaker, speaker number 59, please, Donovan Roberts.
Good afternoon. I would like to say, when I first came into Fraser, I thought it'd be like any other school, you know, had to make a different personality to fit in. But it really wasn't. I just like kept my same personality and like people accepted me. I had this group, they accepted me. We pretty much basically did a lot together. And shutting it down, it would like hurt because then I would have to go to a different school, do a different personality because nobody would accept me like Fraser did. So I would like for y'all to reconsider shutting it down and keep it open because like you will never have a teacher like Ms. Cotton. She will literally push you to doing things you never thought you would be able to do. So don't shut down Fraser. Keep it open. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. President, we'll continue with the speakers list. That was the last speaker for Fraser Prep Academy. We'll proceed by calling the speakers for Marine Leadership Academy. We have speaker number 18, Magdalena Pagan, 21, Charles Saportio, 25, Kathleen Claver, and 46, Patrick Barbaros. Magdalena Pagan, please.
Good evening, board members. Thank you for allowing us this opportunity to speak this evening. I'm actually here on behalf of a colleague. I'm a dean at Marine Leadership Academy, and recently my partner, Mr. Hubert Duray, lost his position here at our school. I know residency policies are in place in CPS, as is any other city employee. Circumstances that led to Mr. Duray's inability to live in the city are a long story that I can't explain. He spent some time now trying to explain the circumstances when he was being investigated by OIG. It was a temporary situation that led to him not being able to live in the city. Mr. Duray is a Haitian American who had no family here and no place to go when he lost his home due to, again, circumstances he could not control. The loss of Mr. Duray at Marine Leadership Academy has been devastating, not only for me, but for all the students. There is a packet, number 25, that has letters from staff members of our school and students who've been deeply impacted by the loss of Mr. Duray. This is a real passionate call for you to please reconsider reinstating Mr. Duray back to our school as the Dean of Discipline. I can tell you from my heart, I've never worked with anyone like him in all the years that I've worked in different places throughout the city of Chicago. The impact he had, the leadership he had in our school, the love he has and the passion he has for students has been something I've never experienced by any colleague in any work I've ever done. Being of Haitian American background, he was a role model to our students, and we miss him deeply. Now, on my way here to this meeting, I called him, and the one thing he said to me is, "I miss the kids." Again, I've never met anyone like him who had such an impact on our school. We had 100 suspensions in 2016, 2017 school year. Mr. Duray reduced those to 13 and less, only because of his incredible work with students, his restorative ability with students, and his passion for working with them. Again, please reconsider, look at his story, allow him an opportunity to come back and defend his case. Thank you.
Ms. Pagan. Our next speaker, please, 21, Charles Saporto.
My name is Charles Saporito, and I am a veteran teacher of 25 years. And I'm going to give you the side that the teacher gets to see of Mr. Duray. Mr. Duray goes out of his way to get to know students, not just the students that, might act up in the class from time to time, but every student. He comes up to me one day and he says, "Hey, I know you're a sci-fi fantasy guy. I had a student who just came up to me and started talking about Harry Potter." So I gave him the spew of everything he needed to know. He made a connection with that student. That student is now a student in one of my law classes. He also has an IEP, but he needed a place to go that he felt comfortable to go and work at. And at times, the classroom just got too busy for him. So I worked out a contract with the kid, and he ended up going into Mr. Duray's office on days that he felt stressed, not because he was in trouble, but because he felt comfortable being with him. And he does go out of his way to get to know his students, all the students. A situation also now, I also teach economics. So in my economics class, there are days that you have to be there that are just important. A student that might have gotten in trouble, I can go to Mr. Duray and say, "Hey, you know what? Can you please send him into my class for that day? He can't miss this lesson." No problem, he got taken care of. That kid would come in, that student would come in and have a great day. The fabric of a school is made up not just by the teachers, it's the people outside the classroom that make our jobs easier. My job is made easier because we have an individual that goes out of his way to get to know the students, not to discipline them,
Mr. Sapardi?
but to encourage them to stay in the classroom. So I'm asking you, please, consider this. We need him back. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. The next speaker, please, 25, Kathleen Claver.
Hi, I'm Kathleen Claver, and thank you for meeting with us today. I'm a school counselor at Marine Leadership Academy, and I work closely with Mr. Duray on all of our most difficult cases. We are in a neighborhood where there is high violence and high trauma every single day, and he works with those kids empathetically, compassionately, and he understands that there's more to the kid than just how they are in the classroom. I'm going to read a letter from a student who is not able to be here tonight. She went out of her way to write this. She goes, I am currently a 17-year-old senior at Marine Leadership Academy, and it is with good intention that I have a voice that I think Mr. Duray for the last 6 years I've attended MLA. Mr. Duray has been a great influence in my behavior and my dedication towards furthering my education. When I first got sent to the office for insubordination, he made me realize that I had a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that many students wish they were in. I slowly began to appreciate attending MLA, and graduating became more passionate and learning about a path that I would take for my future career. He always steps out of his office to greet cadets walking in the halls during passing periods, brings out a grin in almost every single one of them. I recently had some disciplinary issues with one of the teachers, and he talked me through the way that not everyone is going to get along with me, but he advised me not to start any issues because I'd only see that teacher for roughly 50 minutes every day during class, and that it'd be over before I know it. Since then, my grade has risen in that class, and I have grown an interest in that class. In my 8th grade through sophomore year, I began to confide in Mr. Duray because he has created a comfortable environment in which I, amongst numerous other students, have grown feel free to open up about our issues, and I still confide in him. I feel that Mr. Duray is a very professional man and handles his work with truth, integrity, and respect. I would like to continue to have Mr. Duray in the learning
Ms.
environment.
Claver?
And I am currently at the end of my high school experience in June in 2020. And we ask you to reconsider this. The lease, his Chicago lease is in that packet as well, if you could look at it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Claver. And their last speaker, speaker 46, please, Patrick Barbaros.
Thank you. Good evening. On behalf of the MLA, sorry. There we go. Good evening, and thank you to the Board of Education for this opportunity in addressing our staffing concerns at MLA. Likewise, we are certainly grateful to the parents and staff present tonight as part of the Marine Leadership Academy at Ames community, expressing their support for Dean Hubert Duray. On behalf of the MLA Board of Governors, our concerns are the failures and lapses as part of the IG administrative adjudication process relating to the 11/21/19 termination for R1 residency requirements. So what the staff did give you were the facets of MLA. I'm looking strictly at the process. Recent discussions with Mr. Schuler's staff from the Office of the Inspector General for CBOE and with Mr. Duray have made it clear to me that the guidelines for a transparent and fair process were overlooked. For the record, the 14-day period 11/21 through 12/5/2013 was complied with. Principal Aguirre, at the time Marine Math and Science, was informed of Mr. Duray's residency status. That was instance H3. Dean Duray was originally hired on as an assistant counselor, a position eligible for participation in the special needs residency waiver policy. Similarly, the current position, the position of cultural coordinator as dean, I believe falls under that, at least from my understanding. That was instance PC4. The IG investigative process failed to offer or allow Dean Duray participation in the 60-day residency compliance period. That's instance PC4.
Mr. Barbaros?
Thank you. And follow-up to that process was listed as not applicable, and a follow-up process is supposed to support staff, support the school, and it shouldn't be a closed process. So he will be filing an appeal, but I would encourage that an administrative review be given so that,
Thank you, Mr. Barbaros.
Thank you.
Mr. President, we'll continue with the speakers list, and I'll call speaker number 48, please, Mario Barnett, followed by the group for Chicago Virtual Charter School. We have speaker number 49, Julia Rooney, 51, LaShawn Bryant, 52, Amanda Bellamy, 56, Tina Haralem Polis, and number 60, Gloria McTier. Please state your name.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Marlo Barnett. Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. I started at Carver in 2017 as a temporary assigned teacher, then asked to stay on as a permanent teacher at Carver Middle School. The first year, the behavior was so out of control that a dozen white coat security officers from the district were deployed to Carver the entire year, which was unheard of. The area network staff was also deployed in the building most of the year, and they could not do anything about the behavior. Last year, and between last year and this year, I logged over almost 400 entries of behavior at the school. As we all know, behavior can have a direct impact on student grades and assessments. Although Carver had some growth last year, this is a school that suffers from low attendance, high trauma, and lack resources. However, these issues have existed for decades at Carver and schools like Carver. Ignoring these issues is simply child neglect and endangerment. Last year, one of the 8th grade students who graduated dropped out and didn't continue to go to high school, was initiated by a gang and shot and killed another student right across the street from the school. I am not proud to say that we, all of us, have failed both of those students and students like those that attend schools like Carver. By ignoring these issues these issues have been plagued in that community for years. But what tends to happen, and more often than not, teachers are used as scapegoats and blamed for the social economic issues. Working at Carver is really stressful. It's an abusive environment for the teachers and staff there, and something needs to be done. So I am running for state representative, but I would like to know, what are you going to do about Carver Middle School and schools like Carver Middle School? Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker, please, speaker 49, Julia Rooney.
Hello, my name is Julia Rooney, and I wanted to say thank you, Mr. White from Fraser, for your speech. I resoundingly am in agreement with that. Also, hello, school board. I want to give a special hello to Mr. Miguel Devalier. I actually worked at El Cuatro Año, a school that you started. It was because of that school experience that I went on to become a school social worker. I work at Chicago Virtual Charter School. Coincidentally, I've only worked there for 16 days. Within the first 24 hours of my employment, I actually spoke with a parent, otherwise known as a learning coach. She shared with me her experiences at the school. Within 4 hours of my first day of work at the school, I was told that the school was really close to closing down. When I spoke to the parent the next day, she shared with me her concerns. I wanted to express to you that she had been a parent, a learning coach for a child at the school for 3 years. I was so thankful that I met with her, because meeting with parents is one of the joys of my job. I also wanted to say that I can speak about qualitative data, not
Ms. Rooney,
quantitative
Can you please
data.
conclude?
Most of the students at my school have had terrible experiences at other schools. Shuttering the school would do a great disservice.
Thank you, Ms. Rooney.
Thank you.
And their next speaker, Mr. President, 56, please, Tina Haralambopoulos.
Good evening, school board members. Since the announcement of the possible charter closure, I've had to teach all of my 80 students and face all of my team members, as I'm a lead teacher and educator for 3rd grade, 4th grade, and our advanced learners. All of this while considering that we might be dissolved at the end of this year. Our family, maintaining a positive mindset has been very challenging. You are provided with a copy of a petition. We have over 1,700 signatures, comments, and it's continuing to grow. We have stakeholders, families, students, and community members that believe that our school can make a difference if given the ability to change, given time to sustain change. We have thoughts from our teachers that aren't able to be here today, talking about the safe learning environment that we provide, the unique education, that we have a space that's for unconventional student. Our student gives a chance to meet them where they're at and provide a fair and appropriate education. I have a story about a boy walking the beach and a man overseeing him. He's watching a child gingerly throw starfish into the water. He sees miles of beaches and hundreds of starfish. He walks up to the child and he goes, "This is a task. There are so many starfish and you aren't making a difference." He picked up a starfish and placed it down. He said, "But I made a difference in that one." And that's what we do at CVCS and Fraser Community School does, is that we make a difference in maybe one child's life that can change the entire world.
Ms. Haralambopoulos.
Our principal stated, Dr. Trier, that students are caught in the middle of gunfire, are casualties of violence. And right now our students are caught in the middle of a crossfire shot from past administration. Don't let them become casualties. I ask you to renew our charter with an extension of a couple of years to make sustainable change. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. And their next speaker, Mr. President, Gloria McTier, please.
Hello. I'm pretty nervous and pretty emotionally shook from all of the testimonies I've heard from Fraser Prep as well as Chicago Virtual Charter School. I'm going to try to be brief. I have so much to say, but I have provided you all with a copy of my statement so that you all can have a look at it, because I know I'm not going to have enough time to say everything I need to say within the 2 minutes. Okay. So again, my name is Gloria McTier. I am a parent/learning coach of 2 students at Chicago Virtual Charter School. Okay. And I like to point out 5 key points why Chicago Virtual Charter School needs to stay open. Number 1, safety. Chicago Virtual Charter School is one of the safest, if not the safest school in the city of Chicago. Of the 535 CPS sexual misconduct investigations reported by the Inspector General just last month, Chicago Virtual Charter Schools account for 0. The same cannot even be said about at least 10 of CPS's level 1 rated schools. A significant amount of CVS parents made the life-saving decision to enroll their children in CVCS due to excessive bullying in the traditional CPS school setting. My son, who had previously attended 3 different grammar schools before CVCS, even experienced an incident where his boots were removed from his feet by multiple bullies in one classroom. I was told by the teacher that there was nothing he could do. My son is now in the 11th grade, and since being enrolled at CVCS in the 5th grade, has not even so much as experienced a verbal dispute at CVCS, let alone experience bullying.
Ms.
As
McTier.
is the case of 95% of our students enrolled at CVCS. Again, there's so much I want to say. I'll go to the points. Innovation. We are the one and only online school in the city under CPS that's free, that serves grades K through 12. Parental engagement. Our parents are learning coaches first. They double as parents. We moonlight as parents.
Thank you, Ms. McTier.
Please, just one more, please. Let me just finish, and I promise I'll be out of your hair. We need more time. Please give us more time. I'd like to close by saying, when we were last evaluated for our current SQRP rating, we were on the heels of an institutional equivalent of Hurricane Katrina. We were learning and navigating our way through an entirely new curriculum.
Please conclude.
Our students are fired up. Please, they're ready and willing to do what it takes to be a shining example of what CPS students have to offer the world. They
Thank
just
you.
need some more time. However, they cannot do
Ms.
that if their
McTier.
world is snatched
Thank you.
from
Our
up
next
under
speaker.
them. Don't take that away from them. Please do not close Chicago Virtual Charter School.
Thank you, Ms. McTier.
Thank you.
Our next speaker, Mr. President. Speaker number 53, please. Angela Butler, followed by speaker number 54, Howard Ehrman, and the last speaker, 55, Ismael Enriquez. Number 53, Angela Butler, last call. Moving on to the next speaker, 54, Howard Ehrman, please.
Good evening, excuse me. Good evening, board members and CPS administration. From 1986 to 1990, I had the pleasure of watching our daughter perform here in what was at that point the largest drama program in CPS here at Curie High School. That drama program was abolished in the last 10 years and has never been reestablished. Chicago Public Schools only have 5 art-focused high schools, by far the lowest number of any city in the United States, over 500,000 people. Of these 5 high schools, 3 are on the north side. There's Curie, and of course, there's Diet. This program needs to be reestablished starting next September, next academic year. There are thousands of students throughout the city of Chicago who need to go to performing arts programs. Shy Arts High School, one of the top high schools in the country, has 53 students apply for every position. It's even greater in the dramatic arts program. This is not a question of just feeling good. This is a question of jobs. Chicago has the most robust community theater program, as well as downtown theaters like Goodman Theater. And next year, in probably the summer, it's going to now have the #1 studio in the country for both film and television, CineSpace. CineSpace is opening up 3 new stages right next to the former site of Washburn Trade Schools. So the future program includes a new Washburn Trade School that integrates traditional trades with college prep, cultural arts, and all the new innovative trades that are needed. So we're asking you, #1, to reestablish this program, work with the principal who was here at the beginning. And #2,
Mr. Ehrman?
begin to work with unions in the performing arts, of which there are thousands of members in front and behind the camera here in Chicago, to build a new selective enrollment high school, of which there are none on the southwest side of Chicago. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And the last speaker, please, speaker 55, Ismael Enriquez. Thank you, Mr. President. That concludes the public participation speakers on the list.
Board members, any questions or comments? If not, we'll proceed. This concludes public participation. We will now proceed with the business portion of the meeting. Dr. Jackson, we are ready for your CEO report.
My apologies. I think we're going to start with the presentation from Hal Woods in the Department of Innovation and Incubation.
Good evening. Hello. Good evening, President Del Valle and members of the board. My name is Hal Woods, and I'm the Executive Director of the Office of Innovation Incubation at Chicago Public Schools. I will be presenting this evening on 2 charter school revocations the district is recommending to the board. First, I want to provide the board with an overview of our annual process to review low-performing charter schools. On an annual basis, CPS identifies low-performing charter schools based on the charter school quality policy. A charter school campus is listed on the academic warning list when it fails to meet academic performance standards according to its agreement with CPS. Charter schools are placed on the academic warning list for the following reasons: a level 3 SQRP rating, a 2-year SQRP point value average of 2.5 or lower, or a level 2 rating in 3 consecutive years. It is the district's sincere hope that every charter school placed on the academic warning list will ultimately exit the academic remediation process. However, any school that fails to sufficiently improve and exit the academic remediation process is eligible for closure. In considering any potential closure, the district reviews the following data points: SQRP and academic performance trends, qualitative information gleaned from an academic site visit, data regarding where students attending the school are zoned to, and data regarding which high-quality options exist nearby, either to the school itself or to students' home addresses, and if those schools have the capacity to enroll additional students. Although not legally required to do so, the district always holds a public hearing for any charter schools eligible for closure. If the district does make the difficult decision to recommend the closure of a charter school, and this is a recommendation that we do not take lightly, the district always offers students guaranteed access to higher quality options. Finally, the operator does have the right to appeal the Board of Education's decision to the State Board of Education. Some additional history on the charter school quality policy. The charter school quality policy was enacted by the Board of Education in 2015. A total of 7 charter schools have been closed under the policy, 4 in 2015, 1 in 2017, and 2 in 2018. And during that time, several other charter campuses have closed due to financial viability and other reasons. Upon identification on the academic warning list, the district must send formal notification that the school has been placed on the warning list, is in revocation status, and is subject to closure. The charter school then must submit a remediation plan that establishes goals and strategies to rectify low student performance areas. Schools are required to notify their school community and the full board regarding their status on the warning list, and provide quarterly updates to the school stakeholders on efforts made to improve performance. CPS monitors implementation through site visits and regular check-ins. Pursuant to the policy and consistent with Illinois charter law, a charter school can be closed if the school fails to implement its remediation plan or if the school is identified on the academic warning list for 2 consecutive years. Following a comprehensive and thorough review, the following 2 schools are being recommended for revocation according to the charter school quality policy due to the schools being identified on the academic warning list for 2 consecutive years. Chicago Virtual Charter School is a kindergarten through 12th grade school serving 523 students as of 20th day this school year, although the school did lose nearly 160 students from last school year, which was the largest single year enrollment decline of any school in the district. Students complete most of their studies from home or other locations, although students are required to attend class at the Chicago Virtual Learning Center located in the West Loop 1 day each week. Based on a review of Chicago Virtual's performance on SQRP over the past 4 years, a review of students' current attendance area schools and potential guaranteed options, and a qualitative review of the school's instructional quality, the district is recommending that the revocation of Chicago Virtual Charter School at the end of this school year. The school has been a level 2 school for 4 out of the last 6 years, including the past 3 years. It is clear that the school is not providing students with a high quality education. Last year, Chicago Virtual had the lowest SQRP score of any charter high school, the lowest freshman on track rate of any high school in the district, and one of the lowest graduation rates of any high school in the district. The school also had the second lowest elementary school SQRP score among charter schools. The state received the lowest performing school designation from ISB on its most recent report card, and the academic site visit report indicated a school rated basic or unsatisfactory in all but 2 categories assessed by the district. And although the school is being recommended for revocation due to its academic performance, the school's financial and operational concerns are significant. This includes the ongoing CPS Inspector General investigation and the school's financial viability issues. Fraser Preparatory Charter School is a kindergarten through 8th grade elementary school in the North Lawndale community. The school currently has 252 students, which is a decline of 41% since 41% when they had 428 students in the 2015-2016 school year. Based on a review of Fraser Charter's performance on SQRP over the past 4 years, a review of students' current attendance area schools and possible guaranteed options, and a qualitative review of the school's instructional quality, the district is recommending the closure of Fraser Charter School. The school has been a level 2 school 5 out of the past 6 years, with the school achieving a level 2+ rating once over that time period. It is clear that the school is not providing students a high-quality education, and there are sufficient high-quality options with the capacity to accept students that are located both close to the school and to student addresses. The academic site visit report indicated a school rated basic or unsatisfactory in every category assessed by the district. CPS found that administrative turnover at Fraser has contributed to a low quality of instruction that is correlated with a steady enrollment decline. For each of the past 6 years, there has been at least one new school leader in place at Fraser, and there have been periods in which there was no school leader in place at all. This has contributed to classrooms often marked by low rigor, low student engagement, and low student centeredness. School reviewers were struck by the lack of evidence of student learning. As noted previously, the school's enrollment has declined significantly and for many years consecutively. Should the board vote to close either or both schools, CPS will send a formal communication to Chicago Virtual and Fraser families by the end of this week regarding the board vote, as well as dates for upcoming informational meetings and contact information for immediate questions and support. At the initial informational meetings and subsequent one-on-one consultations thereafter, CPS will provide families with a customized application process with multiple enrollment options to choose a higher performing school that best meets their individual educational priorities. During the meetings, families will have the opportunity to discuss options at higher performing schools, student academic transitions, concerns regarding students with specific needs, and safety plans to meet the unique needs of each student. And given the unique model of Chicago Virtual Charter School, the district will make families aware of flexible options for transitioning Chicago Virtual families who determine that a traditional school environment will not meet their students' needs. At this time, this concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. I'm also going to ask Bing Howell, our Chief Portfolio Officer, if you have any additional questions that would be appropriate for him. Thank you.
Questions?
Mr. President, Joshua, our honorary student board member, has a question.
Yes, please.
So I'm glad that students and family members are.
Please use the microphone. Yes.
It's working.
It's working.
It's working.
So I'm glad that students and family members at these schools will be supported during this tough period, but how will we ensure that teachers and staff members, in these schools are, also supported and are giving a smooth transition?
So the teachers at both institutions are not employees of the Chicago Board of Education, but what we have done in the past for teachers that will be displaced by closure is that we offer them access to CPS hiring fairs. So when CPS principals are going to interview for new positions for even that school year or for subsequent school years, we make those opportunities available to those both teachers but also support staff.
Questions or comments? Yes. Board member.
It's my turn. Okay, thank you. I just want to first say thank you to the parents and the family members who took the time, the school staff who took the time to come out here today. I also was present at the hearings that were held earlier, and your testimony was very powerful to me. And I agree with you that you are caught up in larger structures that in many ways are outside of your control, particularly as parents and students. And I guess I want to just reinforce, there is nothing wrong with your children, and there is nothing wrong with you as parents that you find yourself in this situation today. I think that the charter quality policy was put in place because of something that was mentioned earlier here, and also was mentioned at the hearings by charter providers, who said that part of what their contract specifies is that flexibility and autonomy is put in place because there then will be this particular type of accountability, and that has been put in place because of the excesses that privatization of public education have created. And so I guess I also sort of, I feel the pain and I guess I would just want to say I'm empathetic with the pain that you're feeling. And particularly in some ways, the nerve of the larger charter industry to come and on the one hand, encourage you for decades to expand these schools in areas with under enrollment and then turn around now and say it's okay to close. And I want to say that's part of what this model is set up for. That's part of what the privatization model is set up for. And I'm sorry that you all are caught in this at this point. I also want to say that we are not just here today looking at a piece of paper and thinking about this for the first time, but we've been in conversations for a number of months really about these policies, and that this decision is not being made just based on SQRP. I think that's a common misconception, but in fact, staff from Chicago Public Schools did comprehensive visits and wrote up extensive reports about the teaching and learning that was happening in your school buildings. And so with all of that being said, I know that as a parent and as a student and as communities, you still have to figure out where you're going from here. And so Hal, I was just wondering if you could elaborate some, in addition to just these sort of bullet points, specifically what supports will be put in place for the children who are going to have to transition through this difficult time and their families.
Sure. So I'll focus on Fraser. So with Fraser, what we will be doing first and foremost is to we will have a list of guaranteed options first that essentially students can attend. What we look at is for options that are within 1 mile or less from where students live or from the existing school. Once we have a sense of where students are going, that allows us to then start working on potential academic supports for the schools that are receiving those students for the following fall. So for example, if we see that a student is behind grade level, we will work with the receiving school to provide support, whether that could be extended day teaching or after school programming, tutoring, et cetera, and we make those funds available to those schools. That would be an example for Fraser. And that includes whether it's social emotional needs and other non-instructional or non-academic needs as well. I think for Chicago Virtual, we know this is a very unique situation. Students are essentially at home 80% of the week. And so we have been looking at two approaches essentially. One is working with families to determine if they are willing to attend a brick and mortar traditional school. That sort of leads down a path, I would say, that's somewhat similar to what I described for Fraser students. If the parent wants to remain in homeschool, we will be providing resources to that parent in terms of how do you, engage with the state on this particular topic, but also we've been working very diligently to think about what can the district do to support these families as well. So a couple of things. One is that if a student who is homeschool wants to attend their zone school for any class, they can do so with the permission of the principal of the school. And we will be working very closely with our network chiefs and our principals to allow them to do so. The same is also for if those students want to participate in extracurricular activities, sports, clubs, et cetera, they have the ability to do so. They can also get access to curricular resources such as textbooks from their home school. So those are just some ideas I think we're really looking forward to. I mean, this is a very difficult situation, but I think looking forward to hearing feedback from the parents. And we've gotten a lot of feedback through email, through phone calls from my office, and I know the board office as well, is trying to customize a plan for parents because they have very specific needs. I was struck, and you were there at the board, at the public hearing regarding the revocation. The board chair for Chicago Virtual says there's 520 kids here and there's 520 reasons for why they're at this school. And so it's really going to be working individually with those parents. We have dedicated staff, retired principals, retired counselors who will be working with these families on individual plans for those students.
Thank you.
Mr. President, first I'd like to acknowledge former Cook County Board President Bobby Steele, and as well as Joy Steele, the sister of Robert Steele, former Cook County Commissioner Robert Steele, who was one of the founders of Fraser College Prep.
Thank you.
Hal, you talked a little bit about the other options for the students from Chicago Virtual, and I know you did a lot of research because the other educational opportunities that are accessible to students and families was one of the key criteria that was considered. Can you say more about what you learned from that research around Students for Fraser?
For Fraser, we do know that slightly over 70% of the students are actually zoned to a level 2+ or higher school. But we know that for students from Fraser within that mile of the school itself, there's 7 level 1, level 1+ schools, 6 of which have no enrollment criteria and have capacity to take additional students. If you expand that out to 1.5 miles from the Fraser facility itself, there's actually 17 schools, the vast majority of which have no enrollment criteria or no sort of prerequisites to enroll. And so that would be part of the list of guaranteed options. I think when you look at student addresses, what we calculated was the average distance from a Fraser student's home to a level 1+ or level 1 school with capacity was approximately 0.57 miles. So within sort of within almost a half mile from home to a higher quality option that has the capacity to support those students.
Once again, can you say more about how you will work with the parents and the students so that they are able to go to their first choice?
So the first thing that we will do is that we will create a customized application for the students. And I want to sort of separate Fraser from Chicago Virtual. So for Fraser, because a lot of the students live in the same area, that application will include schools from that general area. With district managed schools. We will also make some charter schools available as well, but we don't control their enrollment policies. And so it would be depending on space. So when I talk about the 17 schools, I'm talking about district managed schools that have the capacity to serve. So we'll have an application. We will meet with those families and talk about the different schools.
Wait, how many other charter schools are available within that area?
I believe within the 1 mile, it was about 3 or 4 charter schools in addition to district managed schools as well.
And you say that those will have space or may have space?
It depends sort of on a grade by grade level.
Depending on the grade?
Yes. And I mean, we've looked at what their enrollment caps are and what and essentially what their enrollment is, and there is space. But we don't control their enrollment transfer policy, if you know what I mean. So it's hard. We can make a guaranteed option for a district school.
I understand we don't control that, but we've had communication with them?
Yes, I mean, they're aware of this action. Yes, correct.
Yes.
I just want to thank the parents, families, and teachers and other community members for coming here and speaking on behalf of these 2 schools that are being considered for closure. And like Elizabeth, this is a difficult decision, and we heard you, and it was very moving to hear your testimony. I wanted to ask whether there, these kind of school closings hurt not only individual families, but also the community. Any ideas about how CPS may support the community, in particular Fraser community, to heal and to move if the decision is to close the school?
You mean broader than the school community itself?
Yes, I mean, in my opinion, school closures affect not only those that are part of the school, but also the community as a whole. And I know there's been opportunity for hearings and for the community. So anything that has been thought of in terms of providing some support if the decision is to close, particularly Fraser, that has a physical presence in the community.
I think, first and foremost is our focus on the students and ensuring that those students for fall of 2020, that they're in a higher quality option, that their families feel comfortable with the option that they've selected, and that they feel that there's been a successful transition to that new school. I think the gentleman, the question about staff members as well, that's something that we're very conscientious of, to make sure that we provide opportunities to staff that are impacted by this decision, have the opportunity to find new jobs in the education sector. I think your question about then sort of the broader community beyond that, it's a good one. And I think, as we go through this process, I think we will look for additional opportunities where we can support the broader Fraser community regarding this action.
And we would be curious to understand any feedback or ideas you all have to deepen our ability to do that.
Okay. All right. If you want to have that conversation, we'll be glad to have it with you on the side here with staff. If you raise your hand, we'll be glad to hear you. Fraser is located in the building that Herschel School occupies.
Correct.
They're both there. Is Herschel on the list of schools available?
As a level 2+ school would be a higher performing school, yes.
So it is available.
Correct.
So the families, the parents, the students have that option
Correct.
to select Herschel, which would not move them at all.
Correct.
Physically,
Physically, yes.
they would remain in the same building.
Correct.
And I just wanted to make sure that that option is available,
Yes.
because certainly the space is available.
Yes.
But CPS is ready to build out that space for Herschel to make sure that it can accommodate additional students.
It would be able, yes.
Is it going to improve the facility in any way?
So is there, are there
Are there plans to improve the facility, the physical plant?
I would have to work with our chief operating officer to, I mean, I think part of it would be determined of how many additional students would be coming and what would the additional renovations would require to
That's right.
make those expansions.
Because even though they're in the same building,
Correct.
there's still a separation
Correct.
that would have to be addressed.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Yes.
Similar to what Elizabeth mentioned, first, thank you to the students that came out, and we heard you loud and clear. And I also echo, right? It's not your faults. You know, there is a process here, and it's definitely not and shouldn't be a charter versus public. It should be about quality education, right? And consistent quality education. So, and that applies to all. You know, we should be having that kind of conversation. If we see a school that's not performing for 5 out of 6 years, we should be having that conversation across, irrespective whether it's charter or public, right? We need to make sure that every student has access to quality education across every zip code. When you look at what the students select along with their parents in terms of their options, their preferred options, right? And they might not want to go to another level 2 school, right? If this is an opportunity to look at others, how are you going to handle if there are kind of excess demand for certain schools that might be within that 0.25 or that 0.5 to ensure that they do get a chance to get at their first choice?
So when we receive the data, you know, when folks fill out applications, we process it, and it's very much a, you know, they're in kindergarten and they're applying then to first grade. And so what we would do is we work with the network chiefs and work with the principals of the schools to ensure that on a per sort of grade capacity, that they have the space and the ability to take additional students at those schools. And we work very, very hard to ensure that the top choice for that student, if we list it as a guaranteed option, we're essentially saying we're giving you access to this option. And so regardless. And so that's analysis that we conduct both prior to, but then also once we receive all the application data from school or from families once they submit the applications.
Any other questions or comments from board members? Yes, Vice President.
I wanted to echo my fellow board members, thanking everyone for coming out. I also wanted to thank the people who, the professional educators who went into the schools, did the site visits, and gave us insights that we couldn't get ourselves firsthand. My question, kind of two questions building on what you've already shared with us in briefings, as Member Todd Brilliant mentioned over the last few months and tonight. One is if you can share the receiving schools yet, or if not, at what point in the process you described that will be shared. And second, as a parent of 2 kids who go to the same school, do you have any estimates of whether families would be able to keep multiple children who are currently at the same school in the same school after this process plays out, given possibly different grade levels and so on?
I will say for the receiving school options, to take the former first, that is something that we've shared with both the chief of networks and also the network chief, but we had not shared it with those schools yet pending this board vote. But we've had the conversation with the essentially supervisors of those schools. That would be something that we will share right away with families at the informational session, which will be happening in early January. Your second question regarding sibling preference, on the application itself, it actually has a specific notation for if you have a sibling and you essentially, the parent would add that student ID as well. And we would be certainly, we would be looking at a preference for any siblings that want to remain together going to the same transitional school.
So there would be a preference in the process, but your analysis so far doesn't encompass whether families would be able to do that. Do you have any experience from prior situations like this one, whether that typically happens, or
It has not been a limitation in the past.
It hasn't been a
No,
limitation?
correct. We have put schools as a guaranteed option that have the capacity to absorb the number of students, and certainly if there's a sibling component to it, that would be something that we would, again, preference. I could virtually get, there would not be an issue with ensuring that students could remain together in the same family.
And I'm sorry, I have one other question. Could you say a little more about the resources provided to students, families, and to receiving schools?
Sure. And so what we typically do is, again, once we have the information, it's a little bit different with charter schools because we don't have, we have to get that information from the schools in terms of information about sort of credit deficiency or sort of where students are at academically. What we would build essentially is a student profile for every student, and we'd be giving those profiles to the receiving schools. We'd like to do that as soon as possible, looking at, maybe more of like a March or April timeframe so schools can start to prepare. What we would look at then is, what with working with the academic experts is looking at what do those students, so the students behind grade level, what supports would need to be in place on day one at that receiving school to ensure that the student can come in, but then also potentially have some acceleration when they go to the school to ensure that they have the best chance for success in making that transition. So that it can again be direct stipends to schools to pay for teachers to do extended day to work with students. That could be looking at existing after school providers that the school might be working with, and there's a potential way to fund some of that work specifically with that student. And that's sort of on the academic side or the instructional side. I think additionally, all of our networks have social emotional learning specialists. And so when we see students that when we look at the profile, we might see some issues that we benefit to have a social emotional learning team review and to support the receiving schools. That would be an additional component as well. Finally, any student with IEPs or with a 504 plan, we work very closely with our district representatives in our Department of Diverse Learners and Support Services to make sure that all the requisite sort of files or information about that student, if that additional school, if that school, that student has a dedicated para or other sort of positions attached to it, we want to make sure that that school is set up for success on day one to have those additional necessary services to provide to the students.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments?
Just one thing, following up on something that Luciana asked about sort of community supports and the understanding that these types of actions influence beyond just the school building. And you've talked primarily about the application process and perhaps you mentioned that, wanting feedback from us on supports necessary, but can we also try to think about mechanisms to get feedback from the families and the communities on what kind of supports they need as well, and just to keep that in mind?
We will.
Well, I think we need to be very specific, following up on this question about how we're going to be doing that. And I think you need to provide those specifics to the board as soon as possible.
And so I'm guessing that will potentially look like speaking with the principal if and when and how the decision is made to better understand how we can, what recommendations they have on how we can engage to better understand that.
If I engage with their name?
Yes, more comments.
Families, but also there may be
Families.
civic organizations that work with the community that may be a good idea to approach, so they can also sort of, I think of joint efforts to make this transition as easy as possible, acknowledging that it will be hard.
Mr. President,
Yes.
have you engaged like the North Lawndale Community Action Council or North Lawndale Community Coordinating Council in reference to this process? I mean, engaged with them like, hey, we're looking at this particular school and this is, things might happen and we want to be able to make sure we partner up with you to make this transition the best possible for the family, to have you connected with anyone in the
Yes,
community.
with the North Lawndale CAC, absolutely. We've been in conversations with them.
Yes.
Yes. Well, first we said the CAC, which is a CPS, connected to CPS. I want to make sure we're clear. I think it would be inappropriate if the district was going around speaking to community-based organizations to advocate for closing a school. The proper step is, or set of steps are the steps that we have implemented by bringing this to the board over the course of the past 2 months, allowing for the hearings to give our parents and students an opportunity to come and voice their concerns, also as they have done this evening. But it would have been highly inappropriate to go around and in effect lobby for this decision. We wanted to make sure it was a fair process, but listening to the board's questions, we will most definitely, in addition to prioritizing the students and their families and the choices, also work with the community and any partners that want to help facilitate this and make sure it isn't as disruptive as some people have described
I'm
today.
not sure if you interpreted my comments about, lobbying for one way or the other. It wasn't that was the intent. It was just, as somebody stated about the community, working with the community because, you have NLCCC had created this, quality of life plan that includes education. And I feel as though we should respect, what communities have worked hard to put together in terms of what's best for that particular community. And it's just that's just one organization that I'm hoping that you're connected with, on an ongoing basis, no matter whether it's this situation or any other situations.
We actually do meet with them pretty regularly, and you'll be getting a memo about an additional plan or proposal that they have themselves put together. I was actually just proofreading it, so you'll be getting that soon. And it's also important to note that there are a lot of members who sit both on the North Lawndale committee that you just referenced and also our CAC. So there is a lot of overlap. But just to be clear, when the district engages prematurely before the board has made a decision and it isn't done publicly in the public meetings that we publicize and invite people to, it could be perceived as the district lobbying and using its resources and power to solicit support to do it. So I want to acknowledge that. I think it's a good question and definitely something we need to add to the process. But I also want to show support for our team that we have done everything within the proper step and format so that we make this a fair process and hear from the people who are most impacted and not try to bring others on board with this.
Yeah, but then having to have gone through this before in terms of like working with communities when it comes to that transition. For instance, when the North Lawndale and Austin CACs worked together because we're in part of the same network, it was at that CAC meeting that it was like, hey, all these students who were supposed to be assigned to these different welcoming schools, they were not going to those welcoming schools because you had principals coming to those CAC meetings saying, hey, we're not getting the resources for these students that we're receiving. And that was a gap in communication somewhere that's like, so we had to bring that to the district's attention that this is not happening because, again, the community is on the ground, dealing with a lot of these different issues. And that was just part of the motivation behind my question, because this is not, in terms of what's happening. North Lawndale experienced school closure, and it hasn't been a pleasant experience with North Lawndale. And my concern is going to be that there, whatever that can be tapped into, that's going to help the families potentially if things proceed forward.
So I wanted to just clarify, Monday after this was made public, we actually spoke to the CAC and the other committee, and they had no concerns with this. As Dr. Jackson shared, we'll be sending more information, but there are about 8,600 open elementary seats in the North Lawndale community. Of those, about 3,900 are level 1, 1+, and 2+. And so they're very conscious and aware, obviously, of the open seats that they have in the neighborhood, and the community is currently discussing that. But this was discussed with them after it was made public.
Not to belabor the point, but I agree with Dwayne and other board members. If I'm a parent at Fraser and I know that Hersel, for example, is one of the options available to me, whether it's Hersel or other options, I want to know what additional resources is that school, that option, whether it's Hersel or other options, what additional resources are they going to receive in order to deal with the increase in enrollment? And in order to go beyond just dealing with the increase in enrollment, but also provide the necessary assistance to the families so that the transition for the families and for the students, more importantly, for the student, is a smooth transition. In the case of Hersel, it could be fairly smooth because they're in the same building. They're not going to go to another building. But as a parent, I want to know, will my child, who's doing well, regardless of all the things that we're talking about here, there are individual students who are doing well. We heard from students tonight. I want to make sure that they continue to do well. And I think it's our responsibility to lay that out for each family, for each parent, and to do that right away. And so that's why I go back to asking about the specifics, the plan to do that. And everyone needs to be on board, beginning with certainly the principals of those schools, but also everyone else involved on the part of CPS in that process, so that we don't experience what has happened in the past. It's the distant past, but people still remember. And we don't want to go through that again. Are there any other questions or comments? Dr. Jackson, do you want to close?
No, that concludes the CEO's report.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Thank you. If there are no additional questions or comments, I would like to know for the record that one policy and 3 board rules are being adopted on an interim basis. Under Board Rule 2-6B, we are allowed to adopt an interim policy or rule which will expire in 90 days if the new policy or rule is not permanently adopted. Because these issues are time sensitive, it was important to act on them immediately. However, these items will be posted for public comment on Monday, December 16th, and your comments will help shape the final policy and board rules. Thank you. We will now proceed.
Sorry, just a quick comment
Board
on that. I
member.
want to thank those who did participate in public comment and the CPS staff who took that comment and then modified the policies accordingly, which is also posted on the board site, and encourage folks to continue to be a part of that process of public comment so that board policies can reflect contributions from the community as well.
Thank you, Board Member Todd Breland. The process worked as we wanted it to work. And we continue to encourage everyone to take advantage of the opportunity to comment on policies. That's why we established a new procedure. And we already see that as a result of public comment, changes are made. You won't always see all the changes that you're recommending, but changes are being made. If we hadn't posted those, there wouldn't have been no changes because we wouldn't have heard and we wouldn't have had the ideas that led to us considering modifications. And so I thank you for participating. We will now proceed. Yes, one more
I
comment.
want to echo that thanks and also echo, as Member Todd Brilliant said, the staff who are open to reading those comments, understanding those comments, in some cases, engaging with us when we had different opinions, following up with other constituents to get more information that may have been sort of hinted at in public comments, but wasn't thoroughly expressed. I believe that we get better policy when more voices are heard and are heard as early in the process as possible. So I'm sure this is true for many of the board. I read every public comment that was relayed to us. And I believe that the leadership in CPS who was working on each policy also did so, and did so really to figure out how do we make this the best policy that will work best for every student and every person who's involved.
Thank you. We will now proceed with the vote on public agenda items before going into closed session. Madam Secretary, please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. I will begin with items on the public agenda, read the board report numbers and brief titles. I understand, Mr. President, that we will be taking a separate vote, and I would like to state for the record that a separate vote will be taken on PO3, the amendment for the external research policy. And we will do that after the last delegable board report. So I will call that out when we get to that point. So I will proceed with the public agenda items, Mr. President. I'll begin with resolutions, and these items do require a vote. We have RS1. RS1 is the resolution to authorize the City of Chicago in trust for use of schools to grant access and utility easements on school properties. RS2 is the resolution to authorize the appointment of members to the ESSA Title I Parent Board of Governors. RS3 is the resolution to authorize the appointment of members to local school councils. And Mr. President, these items do require a vote.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I second the motion.
Thank you. I'll proceed with a roll call. Member Rowe?
Yes.
Member Melendez?
Yes.
Vice President Rivelluri?
Yes.
Member Todd Breland?
Yes.
Member Truss?
Yes.
Member Sotelo?
Yes.
And President Del Valle?
Yes.
We have 7 ayes, 0 nays. I will continue with policies and rules, and these items do require a vote. We have PO1, which is the amendment to the E-rate management policy. PO2 is the amendment to the Veterans Diploma Policy. As noted earlier, we will take a separate vote on PO3 later on the agenda. Moving on to PO4, it's to rescind the resolution for the property tax revenue and adopt a new policy for method of recognizing revenues. PO5 is to rescind the current behavioral interventions and physical restraint policy and adopt an interim physical restraints and timeout policy. We then have PO6 to rescind the current Combined Americas and Disabilities Act policy and adopt a new Americans with Disabilities Act policy. PO7 is to adopt the new Education of Students with Disabilities policy. Moving on to the board rules, RU1 is the amendment to Board Rule 1-10 on an interim basis regarding the functions of the Finance and Audit Committee. RU2 is the amendment for Board Rule 4-10 on an interim basis with respect to holiday pay and makeup days. RU3 is the amendment to Board Rule 4-14 on an interim basis with respect to bereavement leaves. And Mr. President, these items do require a vote.
If there are no objections from my fellow board members, please apply the last roll call vote.
Favorable roll call vote. Thank you, Mr. President. So noted. I will continue with a communication. This item does not require a vote. This is CO1 on the agenda, and it's the communication regarding the location of the board meeting for January 22nd, 2020. And it reads, this is to advise that the regular meeting of the Board of Education scheduled for Wednesday, January 22nd, 2020 will be held at the CPS Loop Office, 42 West Madison Street, Garden Level Boardroom. The board meeting will begin at 10:30 a.m. Public participation guidelines are available on www.cpsboe.org or by calling 773-553-1600. That's the board office number. For the January 22nd, 2020 board meeting, due to the Martin Luther King Jr. holiday, advanced registration to speak and observe will be available beginning Friday, January 17th at 10:30 a.m. and will close on Tuesday, January 21st at 5 p.m. or until all slots are filled. You can advance register during the registration period by the following methods: online at www.cpsboe.org, by phone, calling the board office 773-553-1600, or in person, 1 North Dearborn, Suite 950, and that's the board office. To ensure equity of access to address the board, an individual may not speak at 2 consecutive board meetings. In the event an individual registers to speak at a consecutive board meeting, the individual will not be called to address the board. Although advanced registration is recommended, you can also register to observe a meeting on the day of a meeting via same-day in-person observer registration at 42 West Madison Street lobby, and the registration time opens at 10:15 a.m. and will remain open for the duration of the board meeting. Same-day in-person observer registrations are taken on a first-come, first-served basis as seats become available. And the public participation segment of the meeting will begin as indicated on the meeting agenda and proceed for no more than the 60 registered speakers. Mr. President, I will proceed with additional.
We will request, or a request has been made for roll call vote on EX2.
On EX2 only for Fraser,
Yes.
only for Fraser and not for Chicago Virtual. So we will also add that to the items for separate votes after the delegable report. And that would be the last item on the agenda, which is AR4. So I will call that out at that time as well. So moving on, Mr. President, to the items that do require a vote. We have EX1, which is the transfer of funds. We will take a separate vote on EX2 for Fraser later on the agenda. We then have, and that's the amendment for the Fraser Preparatory Academy Charter School Agreement. We then have EX3, and we will also take a separate vote. This is the amendment for the Chicago Virtual Charter School Agreement. So we'll take a separate vote on that matter. Moving on to AR1, we have the debarment of Amber Bedolla. AR2 is the debarment of Chicago Contemporary Dance Theater. AR3 is the debarment of Christopher Head. And for the record, Mr. President, I would like to note an abstention for member trust on AR3. I'll continue with PR1. This is to authorize a new agreement with Thorson Consulting. We then have PR2, and this is to authorize a new agreement with ECRA Group Incorporated. PR3 is to authorize the second and final renewal agreements for the various trades work and operations and maintenance for the operations and maintenance program. PR4 is to authorize the pre-qualification status for new agreements for the job order contracting services. PR5 is the report on the award of construction contracts for the capital improvement program. PR6 is to authorize the first renewal and amendment of the agreement with RL Canning for service desk and tech support. PR7 is to authorize a new agreement with Guidepost Solutions for Safe Schools audit services. And PR8, Mr. President, is the amendment to the pre-qualification status of temporary staffing services. Mr. President, these items do require a vote.
If there are no objections, please apply the last favorable roll call vote with the noted abstention.
Thank you.
Mr. President, so this is not an objection, but for PR4 and PR5, I will work with Chief Professor Rivera and his team to review on a quarterly basis.
Good, thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Sotelo, so noted. So as I was saying, Mr. President, we'll proceed with the additional items that do not require a vote. On the agenda, we have PR9, which is the Chief Procurement Officer Report for October 2019 under the Delegated Authority Board Rule 7-13. We then have AR4, which is the board report for board report rescissions. And Mr. President, these items just need to be accepted by the board.
Please mark received and filed.
Thank you, Mr. President. So now, Mr. President, we will proceed with the separate vote for the items noted. The first item noted for separate votes is P03, which is the amendment to the external research policy. We do need a motion and a second to proceed with separate roll call votes on the policy P03 for EX2 as well as EX3.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
A second.
Thank you. We'll proceed with the separate vote on P03 for the external research policy. Member Rome?
Yes.
Member Melendez?
Yes.
Vice President Reveluri?
Abstain?
Member Todd Breland?
Yes.
Member Truss?
Yes.
Member Sotelo?
Yes.
And President Del Valle?
Yes.
We have 6 ayes and 1 abstention. This matter is adopted by the board. Moving on to the next separate vote, Mr. President, we have EX2, and this is the amendment for the Fraser Preparatory Academy Charter School, and we do need a motion and a second.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second? There's been second.
Second, thank you. We'll proceed with the roll call vote for Fraser. Member Rome?
Yes.
Member Melendez?
Yes.
Vice President Reveluri?
Yes.
Member Todd Breland?
Yes.
Member Truss?
No.
Member Sotelo?
Yes.
And President Del Valle?
Yes.
We have 6 ayes and 1 nay. This matter is adopted by the board. Moving on, Mr. President, to the next separate vote. It is for EX3, and this is the amendment for the Chicago Virtual Charter School. We need a motion and a second, please.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
And
Second.
moved by
A second.
Board Member Sotelo, seconded by Board Member
Rome?
Todd Breland.
Thank you. I'll proceed with a separate vote on EX3 for Chicago Virtual. We have Member Rome,
Yes.
Member Melendez,
Yes.
Vice President Reveluri,
Yes.
Member Todd Breland,
Yes.
Member Truss,
Yes.
Member Sotelo,
Yes.
and President Del Valle.
Yes.
We have 7 ayes and 0 nays. This matter is adopted by the board. So, Mr. President, this concludes the agenda items, and there are no further items on the public agenda.
We will now move into executive session. Board Member Truss, do you have a motion?
Yes, I move for the passage of motion number 19-1211-M01 and the commencement of a closed session to consider matters permitted under Section 2C of the Open Meetings Act, subsections 1, 2, 5, 6, 8, 10, 11, and 21 as specified in the motion.
I second the motion.
Thank you. I'll proceed with a roll call. Member Rome,
Yes.
Member Melendez,
Yes.
Vice President Reveluri,
Yes.
Member Todd Breland,
Yes.
Member Truss,
Yes.
Member Sotelo,
Yes.
and President Del Valle.
Yes.
We have 7 ayes, 0 nays. We are now in closed session, moving into closed session.
This meeting will now go into closed session. We will return after closed session.
No, you're welcome. You're welcome. All right. I will talk to you. If you need anything, you let me know.
Everybody and their brother heard of it. But I also think sports are a little
Reach out to them.
they, I think they're seen as more school ready, which is a consideration that a lot of people.
I definitely love to pick your brain. I mean,
Absolutely.
because mine is my family is coming from. Having seen my kids go to Montessori study.
Okay, where's the script? No, you're good. Page 11.
It's finals time.
The meeting of the Board of Education is reconvened. Madam Secretary, please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. I will start with closed session items from the General Counsel, and I will begin with an attorney appointment and counsel retentions. These items do require a vote. The attorney appointment is appoint Assistant General Counsel, Department of Law, Danica L. Marcano. Counsel retentions, first report, authorized continued retention of the law firm Riley Safer Homes and Kinsella LLP. And the second report, authorized continued retention of the law firm Schiff Harden LLP. And Mr. President, these items do require a vote.
Is there a motion?
Oh, that's me. Sorry. So moved.
So moved. Is there a second?
Thank you. I'll proceed with your roll
Second.
call. Member Rome.
Yes.
Member Melendez.
Yes.
Vice President Reveluri.
Yes.
Member Tad Breland.
Yes.
Member Truss.
Yes.
Member Sotelo.
Yes.
President Del Valle.
Yes.
We have 7 ayes, 0 nays. I'll continue with settlements. These items do require a vote. The first report is the workers' compensation payment for lump sum settlement for Miguel Cortez. Case numbers 10 WC 8772, 13 WC 4042, 14 WC 40253, 14 WC 40254, and 16 WC 1619. The second report is the workers' compensation payment for lump sum settlement for David Casper, case number 17 WC 10650 and 17 WC 10651. The third report is the workers' compensation payment for lump sum settlement for Don Simon, case number 06 WC 52669, 09 WC 54189, 12 WC 31970, and 15 WC 19102. The fourth report is the workers' compensation payment for lump sum settlement for Fred Williams, case number 09 WC 39145. The fifth report is the workers' compensation payment for lump sum settlement for Viviana Rehnquist, case number 16 WC 004562. And the sixth report is the workers' compensation payment for lump sum settlement for Marlietta Davis, case number 10 WC 41010. The seventh report is the personal injury authorized payment of settlement for John Doe 1 and 2 through John Doe 3 and John Doe. Case number 17L1642, refiled from 12L003953. The eighth report is the personal injury authorized payment of settlement for Federico Reyes and Rosa Reyes as plenary guardians of SR, a legal disabled adult. Case number 16L012555. The ninth report is the personal injury authorized payment of settlement for Mercy Ivy, case number 17L748. The 10th report is the property tax appeal refund authorized settlement for 15-34428, 16-34605, and 17-37738. It's 211 Chicago Avenue for American Dental Association. The 11th report is property tax appeal refund, authorized settlement for 16-28361 and 17-37117 for 6316 through -32 Southwestern Avenue for Marquette Bank. And Mr. President, these items do require a vote.
If there are no objections from my fellow board members, please apply the last favorable roll call vote.
Thank you, Mr. President. So noted. I will continue with items from the board, and these items do require a vote. The first report is the resolution approving the Chief Executive Officer's recommendation to dismiss educational support personnel. And the second report is the resolution approving the Chief Executive Officer's recommendation to dismiss probationary appointed teachers. And Mr. President, for the record, I would like to note that on December 6, 2019, the board members and the office of the board received the CEO's recommendation to dismiss probationary appointed teachers pursuant to 4-1 and 105 ILCS 5/34-84. Her recommendation included the names of the teachers affected and the reasons. She also noted that the teachers affected will be notified of their dismissal after adoption of the resolution. And the third report, Mr. President, is the resolution authorizing the honorable termination of regularly certified and appointed teacher. Mr. President, these items do require a vote.
If there are no objections, please apply the last favorable roll call vote.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I believe that Member Sotelo has a motion, please.
I move that the board adopt the minutes of the closed session meeting of November 20th, 2019 pursuant to section 2.06 of the Open Meetings Act. Board members reviewed these minutes and determined that the need for confidentiality exists. Therefore, the minutes of the closed session meeting held on November 20th, 2019 shall be maintained as confidential and not available for public inspection.
Is there a second?
I second the motion.
Thank you. I'll proceed with the roll call. Member Rome?
Yes.
Member Melendez?
Yes.
Vice President Reveluri?
Yes.
Member Tad Breland?
Yes.
Member Truss?
Yes.
Member Sotelo?
Yes.
And President Del Valle?
Yes.
We have 7 ayes and 0 nays. And I believe Vice President Reveluri has a motion, please.
I move that the record of proceedings of the board meeting of November 20th, 2019, prepared by the board secretary, be approved and that such records of proceedings be posted on the Chicago Board of Education website in accordance with section 2.06B of the Open Meetings Act.
Is there a second?
I second the motion.
Thank you. I'll proceed with a roll call. Member Rome?
Yes.
Member Melendez?
Yes.
Vice President Reveluri?
Yes.
Member Tad Breland?
Yes.
Member Truss?
Yes.
Member Sotelo?
Yes.
And President Del Valle?
Yes.
We have 7 ayes and 0 nays. And then, Mr. President, I will continue with one real estate item. This item does require a vote. Approve the sale of surplus vacant land at 13311 South Burley. Mr. President, this item does require a vote.
If there are no objections, please apply the last favorable roll call vote.
Thank you, Mr. President. So noted. And Mr. President, there are no further items on the executive agenda.
Thank you. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
If I don't see anyone, everyone have a happy holiday.
I'll see you then. Are you coming to Elizabeth meeting on Monday?
Yes.